Hello, as we welcome you to Rockingham Speedway here from Rockingham, North Carolina, here for week 11, season 11 of the iSNF Cup Series, and obviously the new reconfigured version of Rockingham Speedway. Really excited to see what we can do here. Hello, my name is Christian Delgado. Alongside tonight, up here in the booth, Daniel Mosteller, be coming in and out from tonight's race. But yeah, week 11. Obviously, we saw Angel Hernandez, make his couple of part-time runs here in the iSNF Cup Series. Take home his first win of the season last week for that number 54 machine. But time to get here down the track side as we will start to look at some of your fastest drivers tonight in practice as we will pull up your timing and scoring here to show you right now. It looks like Justin Johnson, Will Austin, Craig Lautenschlager, Angel Hernandez makes his way back up in that 54 machine once again, and rounding out the top five, filling in for Cody Meadows, technically, is Joey Berge. Actually, Martin Roberg in that 43 actually bumps his way up inside this top four in practice. See this number 43 have a little bit of trouble here throughout the corners, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but we got about 8 minutes left. Let's go ahead and take a look at your point standings coming into week 11 as we can grab this and take a look and see who's moved up and down throughout the championship leaderboard. Obviously, now in the iSNF Cup Series, we've seen there we go. So we got it up here now. We've seen some people going up and down through the field, as we all know here. The iSNF Cup Series coming to the chase format, and it's definitely put these drivers a little bit more on edge when it comes to what they have to do to continue to put themselves up towards the top. Obviously, we see now that Justin Johnson up top of the board here in points, but also tied with Thomas Flynn. And Thomas, the only reason he's tied for points coming into Rockingham is because he missed last week. And those points are going to matter. Obviously, he's had a really good season so far, and every driver does have 2 points provisional races that they can use, and I think even with him missing a race, I think he still got third place points, because that's the way iSNF and Rhea over and the whole admin team run this, is that whatever your average running position, your average finishing position is the points you get if you can't make a race. So I think his average finish is like 3.7, that 24 machine. So obviously, we'd love to see Thomas out on the track and stuff, but we saw Isaac Wilson last week pilot that to a P2 finish. But regardless, Thomas still tied in points there. You'll see Chris Otto, Charles Roberson, Cody Meadows, after a horrific start of the season, works his way up inside the top five. Mark Gonzalez up there. So all three Penske Fords up inside the top 6 in points, going to be really strong, at least through about this halfway point here through the season. Obviously, only 2 or 1 races left here in the regular season, so going to be very interesting to see who can climb up through the board here, as obviously only 12 guys come home will get the opportunity to race for a championship. So you look back at Steven Sear, back there with 252 points, and then he's got, a 12-point gap over Gabe Ledger and the rest of the field behind there, Will Austin, Rhea Ferris, and the rest back there outside that top 12. But with the races counting down and all these finishes, all these little the stage points, every point's going to matter here as we count down to the end of the regular season. But we'll get on board with some of these drivers, and something we have to talk about, and Demos up here in the booth, was the guy to kind of call it out. These drivers are going to have to be on the lookout for, how differently this track's going to drive comparatively to the old track. And Daniel, obviously you ran some laps here on the new surface, on the new track. A lot of these drivers are used to, that old abrasive surface. We have the new repave, we have the new reskin. What's on the lookout here as we get ready to go into qualifying into the race tonight?
Yes, so I think I mentioned this to you. Um, in watching all of these drivers, the main trouble point is turn two. The wall on corner exit comes up at you very fast. So you think you could get on the throttle earlier than what you actually can, and you're seeing a lot of these drivers. You know, we just saw the 12 car smack the fence out of turn two and crash, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, um, you see, yes, you look at the 2 car up ahead. You know, that's exactly what we're gonna see during the race, and especially on restarts, if somebody misjudges that, you know, that could cause a huge wreck on corner exit. So that's definitely something to watch for. Um, but I think it's gonna make it very interesting to see who can, you know, master the new track, the new setup. Um,
I definitely agree, and I was told that, I don't even know if we have the right setup for Rockingham for tonight's race. So not only that, these drivers are gonna have to navigate through the changing track, the changing kind of setups, and not only that, obviously, I think since the last time we raced here, we've had like an aero change and just a completely revamped car here when it comes to um, Rockingham. Obviously, this is technically one of those tracks that are underneath that mile and a half, right? So it's gonna have that higher horsepower. It's gonna have a lot more key differences that these drivers are gonna have to navigate. This track was already pretty difficult to navigate without the repave, and now we have the, a little bit, more gripped up track. But now with the increased horsepower in these next gens, it's definitely something also we're gonna have to navigate through tonight, Demos.
yes, that's a really great point. I completely forgot about that. Um, they did make a setup for the adjusted gearing ratio, so that's also something new. You know, if you ran this in like, you know, the official series on iRacing, you know, it's a different setup and it's, you know, different track conditions and it's gonna drive differently. And we're seeing this right now. A lot of people are struggling, um, and it's gonna take time. So I think, you know, I like Rockingham. This track is like a mini Darlington, or it's like a bigger version of Darlington. You have turns 1 and 2 where it's kind of wide. You take the bottom lane, and then 3 and 4, it's a lot more of a fast-paced corner. So I think a lot of the people we saw up front at Darlington are going to thrive here as well.
Oh, I never even thought of it, but I do see the kind of the similarities, I guess, if you want to call it, here from Rockingham. I mean, it's definitely a driver's track, and it always has been. Even now with this new repave, it's always been a driver's track. Who can keep the car underneath them? Who can just keep the car on their track, right? Because with Darlington, I feel like it's the same way. We saw it here at Darlington earlier this race. So I think we only had, I think what, 10, 11, 12 cars even finished that race here in the Cup Series this season. And obviously, I feel like Rockingham is a very demanding track. It definitely takes a lot of finesse to get around here, and it's gonna. I feel like when it comes down to it might also just be a battle of attrition. Who can get to the end versus who can, run the fastest laps and who can actually race for the win. You got to get to the end to race for that win.
Absolutely.
The timer counting down on Vicker here, and continue to see everybody try to figure out what they want to do here. Craig Lautenslaughter has moved his way up into the top 2 positions there in that 77, and fast time of a 22.66, so just a little under a tenth slower. Not a tenth slower, a hundredth slower than Justin Johnson. So right now, Justin, we've been looking at him throughout most of this, discussion here, looking like he's got something figured out here. And obviously, Justin, I feel like he always thrives in these kind of, been a little bit more difficult tracks, if you want to call it that. And we saw him be really good at Darlington, as Demos suggested. It's going to drive a lot similar, and it's just going to be about getting car home. So look out for this 22. Obviously coming in here, leading the points, technically tied in points with that 24 of Thomas Flynn. Look for him to come out here and maybe have a good run. And talking about Thomas, I see him all the way back here in 13th. So Thomas not having the best practice for now, but right now we're going to have to try to figure something else out. And for someone like Thomas who might not have this track figured out, if you think you do not have the car to beat, this is exactly where you start to see maybe some people just try to be a little bit more passive, try to just get to the end of the race versus try and if I were him, I'd maybe try to be a little bit aggressive to maybe get some stage points here in stage 1 and 2. But at the end of the day, I think what he needs to do is really focus on getting to the end of the race, not continuing to give away points here from Rockingham. Looks like getting into qualifying right now. We'll go ahead and see if we can find some drivers out on track. Looks like Angel Hernandez, last week's winner, out on track in that number 54 Monster Energy machine, that Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camry. He comes out. Remember, every driver gets 5 minutes to complete 2 valid laps. And, you know, and valid on the sim means is a lot different than what you would see in real life, right? Demos, if you want to kind of explain this a little bit further, you can't hit the wall, you can't get in the grass, unlike these cup drivers, and it really does, I feel like, take a little bit more finesse than even some of the, I wouldn't say in real life, but it definitely takes some of the game out of kind of the games out of qualifying that you might see in real life.
Yeah, so I mean, in real life, you know, obviously, like if you hit the wall, you might like scrape the car, but like it's not gonna invalidate your lap. It's still gonna count. Here in the sim, if you barely tap that wall, the whole lap doesn't count, and that puts a lot of pressure on you to like set a lap, you know. And sometimes you'll see these drivers, if they invalidate their first lap, they will take that second lap easy just so they set a lap. It's a lot of mind games, and I guess we see Craig. He goes to the top of the board with a 22.632. Sometimes, you know, you just have to take it easy, and that's a really, really hard thing to do as a driver because you want to go as fast as you can. And you know, a lot of the top guys, they feel like they can set a pole lap or a top 5 lap, but if you hit that wall, you're starting in the back. And I mean, with how hard it is to pass with this next gen car, you know, it's so important to get track position. So sometimes you just gotta, you know, eat that like half a tenth loss in qualifying just so you at least set a lap.
Well, I definitely agree. You know, sometimes it's just about setting a lap time versus setting a fast one, just to get yourself in front of those guys who might, you know, make a mistake here in qualifying. We've seen, as we've documented in the pre-race, some issues out of turn 2, and I guarantee you we've had some drivers who, you know, might have had a mistake here into turn 2 is Thomas Flynn. We see him go up into the top 5, P4 for that driver out of the 24 machine. Looks like Justin Johnson not making his lap run yet, as we will continue to monitor drivers out on track. But yeah, it's always about, you know, putting yourself in the spot, and I'm really interested to see. Obviously, we had a little bit of a taste of it from Darlington, but I feel like this drives a little bit more like a mile and a half than Darlington is. Darlington is so unique, and we got to see a little bit of a taste of how this new kind of short track package will race at a kind of mile and a half track. But tonight, we're definitely going to see, you know, this short track, higher horsepower, less aero kind of package. We're at a more traditional style oval that we see, you know, with the mile and a half package with that 670 horsepower, right? I'm really optimistic to see if maybe the dirty air isn't as big of a deal. Maybe if some drivers can actually get to the rear end of the guys and maybe actually race a little bit different, and so they just have to navigate this dirty air throughout the race.
Yes, that's a great point. This track definitely drives like an intermediate more than a short track. You know, the lap times may be only 22 seconds, but you're not really like bump and running people like, you know, like a Bristol or a Martinsville. So I mean, it definitely drives like a Kansas, you know, which makes it fun. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this race plays out. Justin Johnson, he went P2, so that's a great lap by him. I think almost an identical lap to his practice lap. But I think that Justin's lap, actually, I was watching it, was a case of maybe taking it a little easier just to set a lap. Took it a little easy in 1 and 2. But he set a lap, you know, that's the most important part, and, you know.
I definitely agree, and not only that, he set a lap that's, you know, P2, right? He's gonna have a lot of really good track position. We see Mark Gonzalez, obviously, his ran really strong when he can finish these races out. The Mark will go up to P4, so it's gonna be Penske, 2 Penske cars in the top 5 right there. So really good strong round out of these Penske Fords. You'll see the 12 of Joey Berge back there, and still in P8. Obviously, Cody Meadows not being able to make it tonight. So we have Joey Berge in the 12 machine. Cody was supposed to be at Martinsville, but obviously, talking to drivers off camera, couldn't make it to Martinsville tonight as some weather issues plagued him and couldn't make it. But also didn't want to put Joey in a bad spot because he was already supposed to fill in for the 12 and he didn't want, to be like, oh, I can come last minute and put some guys in some bad spots. So, really good for him to do that. But we'll go ahead and take a look at our race info real quick, and then we'll get your starting lineup. Obviously, 200 laps here from Rockingham with stages on lap 40 and lap 80, 60% fuel, and 4 sets of tires. And obviously, Rhea talked about it last week that they put up the incident penalty stuff now. So if you get 21 X's, you are gone for tonight's race. So obviously it's going to be interesting to see just because of how difficult it's been for some drivers to keep it out of that outside wall out of turn 2. So it's going to be interesting to see because if you hit that outside wall hard enough, you will get a 2X. And really if you get a 2X, that usually means you tore up the car pretty well. But it's going to be definitely interesting to see how this goes about. But we'll get your starting lineup here presented by HVTV here for week 11 from Rockingham. Obviously, we saw Craig Slaughter back there. He's going to be your pole sitter alongside Justin L. Johnson. We saw that P2 lap he ran here in qualifying, just 25 100ths off that full time, but going to be that outside front row. Will Lawson in the 3 will be in the P3 position alongside Mark Gonzalez in that number 2 Penske Ford Mustang. Gabe Ledger will be P5 alongside Thomas Flynn. A good recovery lap for him to get back up here and get some track position. He's going to have to keep up with that 22 all race to, keep that points gap at least stable. You'll see Charles Roberson back there in P7 alongside Joey Berge in that 12 machine, filling in for Cody Meadows. Mark Roberg back there in P9 and rounding out the top 10. Don Blazier in the 17. Steven Sear, Sartaj Maan back there in the 38, going to round out that top 12. In 13th, we'll go back here. Apologies. There it is. James Bowles in the 35. Chris Bishop in that 71 will be P13 and P14. Larry Fairman, Scott Trusty going to round out that row. Number 8. Angel Hernandez, I expect a little bit of a better lap time out of him, but he'll start back there in P17 alongside Blake Collett in that Toyota Alliance teammate. Mike Iskandar, Eric Jorgensen back there rounding out your top 20. Emily Urias in the 19, start P21. Jason Steptoe in the 23 will be in the 22nd spot. Terrence Preston, Brian Treadwell round out that top 24. See the rest of the field here deciding not to set a lap. Kevin Page, David Anderson, Shane Johnson, Jimmy Johnson, and Bob Wyckoff round out the tail end of the field here in that 29th place starting spot in that Haas Factory team number 41. Just waiting on everybody to get in these virtual race cars and get ready to go here. Obviously, you see the lights off on the pace car, but obviously a lot that you can adjust here on these race cars and demos. Obviously, there's especially compared to these Riley machines and the trucks, there's a lot more tools in the shed that you can change even before the race to get this car set up for race pace.
Yes, in the garage you obviously have the steering pinion, which is kind of how fast the wheel reacts. Like a higher pinion, like a 315, which is the highest option you can set on iRacing. That gives you like the most feel in it, while vice versa, the lowest on one, less feel. But obviously the brake bias, that's the most important thing. And that's an in-car adjustment, the only thing that these drivers can adjust mid-race, I believe. If you're feeling like, loose, you can bump up your brake bias to put more pressure on the front. But you don't want to set that up too high because you're obviously going to lock up the fronts. I think we are coming to the green here, actually.
Yeah, we are getting ready to go green here. We'll take a look at your race weather as we round through turns 3 and 4. You see 60 degree air temp and 75 degree track temp, 70% humidity. So a great night of racing here. Great day for racing here. Here from Rockingham Speedway, a great facility with the new repave, and we can't wait to go green here for 200 laps here from Rockingham Speedway. But you'll see that pace car take a hard left turn on the pit road. We're going to get ready to go. Week 11 racing here is, the 77 spins the tires on the start. And an early caution here will wave from Rockingham.
I didn't want to say it, Christian. Wheel spin was something that I had been thinking about, and we saw it at Darlington on a couple of restarts in the beginning of the race, and that is big, big trouble.
Well, we'll take a look and see. Obviously, we saw it here on the start. We'll go here to one of our TV cams, and I guess we'll uh, see if we can like maybe go on board with the 77 here of Craig. And I know this is not something he wants to do. I mean, this is not what anybody wants to do, especially when you're caught on caught in 4K here. But starting in first gear,
Christian.
yeah, first gear.
First gear. That's of no bueno. That's with the high horsepower, you cannot do that. That is super, super unfortunate.
Yeah, you used to be able to get away with it here with the old package, right? Because you didn't have the horsepower and you could push it a little bit harder on these restarts. But we saw even at Darlington, right? Starting in second, we had drivers having issues on the restart, yet less in first gear. And obviously, same package that we came here at Darlington with. I did NIS at Darlington, and yeah, I was even having trouble. You can't go going full flat out here on those restarts at Darlington, and obviously Rockingham. Pretty similar, with the abrasive service with the new horsepower package and everything else. And unfortunately, the 77 got bit by that temptation. Starting first to get a good restart, and he'll have to, unfortunately, he takes a lot of drivers out with him, but he'll also lose a bunch of track position here, and we'll have to, work his way back up to the field.
Yes, and something I want to note. We noted in the pre-race that Thomas Flynn, Justin Johnson were tied for the points lead. Thomas Flynn made it through that accident clean. Justin Johnson did not. So what we talked about earlier, keeping your car clean, Thomas Flynn has already done that. And this is a massive, massive advantage to put yourself in position for stage points, as his biggest rival for the regular season championship is in pit road still fixing damage.
Yeah, and this is literally textbook Thomas Flynn. I don't know how he does it, but for the most part, he can always get through these wrecks and, sneak his way inside this top 5 position. And unfortunately for Justin, he's kind of the complete opposite. It seems like any wreck that happens around him, he cannot, get away from. So already a lot of work cut out for that 22 as well as that 77. They started on the front row here to start the race. So it's going to be interesting to see. If they can get those race cars back up to the front, or maybe we have a new casting characters who are gonna take over the reins here for the rest of the race. You already see the lights up on this racing pace car there, that Ford Mustang. They will once again take a hard left turn on the pit road. This time, see if we can do kind of another unofficial kind of race start here and get everything wound back up. It'll be now the 8 of Gabe Ledger, the 24 is another.
And we have big trouble.
You figured these drivers would learn from that first start. I think Joey Berge was kind of the first one to have an issue here, but take a look and see what happened on the restart once again, and
it was synchronized spinning, Christian. The 35 and the 12 both wheel spun at the exact same time, as they were upshifting to third gear. It looks like as the RPM spiked.
Yeah, it looks like the 17 got a little upset, but not as much as that 12 and that 35. And once again, you look at some drivers. I mean, it's going to be hard to tell who was in what, but you could probably imagine that there's probably a handful of cars that have been caught up in both of these incidents on the start here, and that's got to be probably frustrating for everybody involved, even us up here in the booth. Obviously, we don't want to be seeing this. Obviously, we know these drivers have the capability to not make those mistakes, but obviously, this is kind of that learning curve. This is, baby steps, and I think this is what we're going to have to, some of these drivers are going to have to, be pounding in their head right now. Baby steps, new package, new setup, new everything really for this next gen. Really the only thing that's kind of the same here on these cars is maybe the the Goodyear Eagles and the car model in some ways. Everything else has changed, and drivers are gonna have to try to adapt. And even if they have to baby it on the start, I think that's probably for the best that that they do that instead of continuing to stack it up here on these restarts.
Yes, Christian, it's something again that we noted in the pre-race was the incident limit, and if you were involved in both of those accidents, you're already on an 8X, and we are only on lap 7 of this race. So you've already got to be really, really careful, because you don't want to hit that incident limit because it's going to kick you out of the race. So you got to be so careful, and nobody wanted to see this, especially if you were in both of those wrecks.
No, I definitely agree, and it's definitely surprising to see, especially up here in the booth. We saw it. I'm not gonna say I'm okay, but I'm not surprised to see some people have a mistake there on the start. The first couple laps that we properly restarted, right? You can't really practice restarts in practice, so this is for the most part probably a lot of drivers, first time with this new package at this track restarting the race, and I'm not gonna judge anybody for having a mistake there on the start, but now 2 in a row. I mean, hope now that they know that they have to baby it now on these starts. They cannot just go flat out. They can't instantly put the pedal to the floor and expect it to stick.
Well, we're about to find out very shortly if these drivers have learned their lessons.
I will hope so. We already have the 11 out early here. That's Charles Roberson, who already called in the night. Obviously, I'm gonna presume he probably got caught up in both incidents, but still that 24 and that 8, except the 24 and 8 flip spots here. So it'll be the 24 on the bottom, the 8 on that top side, Chevy front row, and it'll be a Toyota Chevy front row as that 51 of Scott Trusty has made his way up inside this top 4 as we get ready to go green. Once again here from Rockingham. His own. Gosh, it'll wave once again. I think that was a 21.
Yes, it was the 21.
Larry Fairman filling in for Rhea Ferris. Rhea's actually at Martinsville right now. So unfortunate to see once again. Take a look and see what happened to Larry. It looks like once again just another case of trying to put the pedal down a little bit too quickly, and you see him starting there in that P6 spot, and there it is. Spins the tires. He's going to collect the 16 of Jorgensen, the 54 of Angel Hernandez, and I think everybody else gets away. I think the 97 might have got a piece of it, but caution will continue to wave once again here. Third caution here on lap 10.
On the bright side, Christian, less cars were involved in that, and less people were spinning their tires on those restarts. So hopefully this time around, we can get a clean restart, and we could start to see some racing here. I'm fully confident in these drivers. Again, it's a different track, it's a different package. There's a whole lot of unknowns, a whole lot of new things, and it does take time to kind of learn. And we're seeing this; they're getting better. You just got to give it time.
Yeah, at least, we're slowly building to a potential, right? The first wreck was a couple with 3 cars self-spinning, then we went down to 2. This last one was 1 with Larry, so, I mean, if the math adds up, I think we should be good for this restart to at least, get into turn 1 without the caution coming out. So, well, I mean, that's all we can hope for. Obviously, I've raced with these guys. I've raced with, I would say, probably around 40 to 50% in this field, and I know they have the ability to play it safe, right? At least for these first couple laps, get a feel for the car, right? There's no need in trying to be aggressive on the starts when you know the car is going to do what it's going to do, and you're going to try to push it as hard as it can. And we'll just have to see now if we can actually get into turn 1 for the first time here, as once again, see that 24 and the 8 lead the top, and it's going to be the 35 and that 51. Once again, top 4 stay the same, but a little bit of a change up here towards the back. Like the 45 of Holit, and Emily Urias works her way up inside this top 6. Looking at some.
The one positive out of this situation is those drivers that were all involved in that first big wreck have a chance to fix their damage. So I mean, there are some positives to take out of the restart troubles here.
Yeah, I never even thought about that, right? I mean, there was a lot of cars who got caught up in that first wreck. We've had 2 cautions now. That's, I would say, a good, probably what 2-3 minutes of damage they probably got done, I presume. So yeah, I mean, I guess there's a plus side to everything. But you see the pace car once again take a hard left turn now pit road. Thomas Flynn doing what he needs to, sitting up front here, gonna lead us back to green here to start lap 13. We're gonna keep our fingers crossed right now. I think we saw everybody keep it straight. We'll be going some actual green flag racing. A little battle for this P2 position. The 8. Backing out of it. Did he get a black flag, maybe?
He had a penalty on the pre-race. That's why he's coming down pit road right now. He just didn't have a chance to serve it.
There you go. So yeah, penalty for the 8. That's right. Had some had a mistake last race, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But I think a battle for the P3 position was these 2 Toyota teammates. Actually, 3 Toyotas under, 4 Toyotas under Blinky here. All battling it out here inside this top 5. And you're already starting to see the lines kind of change here. We're seeing really drivers go up there and they're going to run the top, or they're going to go up there and run right down there on that white line. We haven't really seen this middle start to work out yet. It's either top or it's either bottom.
Something to note, Christian, is the 7 car on that restart had contact with the 2, I believe, and he got up into the fence and had to come down pit road, and I believe he's taking damage right now.
I do see Kevin Page down pit side. Yeah, I see him in the pit road here on our time and scoring, and looking at the 35, he's dropping spots really quickly. James Bowles obviously see a little bit of damage on the 35 machine, but starting to drop through the field pretty quickly here. Looks like he's having a lot of struggles with that machine right now, as he's already dropped himself outside the top 10. We're seeing once again, further in the back, it's the 78. We talked about that turn 2 wall. Looks like he got his first victim there, that 78 of Brad Treadwell. Like he'll keep it straight and keep on trucking here. He's sitting back there in P16, but further on up, Thomas Flynn starting to put a little bit of a gap on the rest of the field, about half a second back to Scott Trussing. What a start to the race for Scott, right? His brother won, the first race of the season there at Daytona, and Scott has shown some pace here and off and on, but here running up inside the top 2, really, really good run here for the start of the race out here for that 51 machine, and honestly keeping pretty decent pace with that 24 right in front of him.
Absolutely. He's up 14 spots from the start of the race. He avoided all that restart trouble, and he has himself some track position. And a lot of, almost all of the, top 6, they're up, double-digit, numbers off at the start. So they did a good job avoiding trouble, and they have track position now.
And looking back at Emily Race, up 17 spots. Blake Bullitt up 13. Jimmy Johnson up 22 spots in that number 9 machine. Obviously filling in for Chris Otto. I believe Chris is also at Martinsville, I believe. I could be wrong, but yeah, I mean, we know that Jimmy's a pretty quick driver. I was teammates with him back when I used to run in the Xfinity series here for for Colleague. And I know he knows how to get this car hooked up if he can get a good feel for it. And it looks like right now, obviously got around the 3 of Will Austin, driving himself up inside this top 5. Like everybody trying to get, figured out, trying to get single file. Remember, we do have that stage on lap 40, and I presume that everybody can make it. I'm not sure. Obviously, we know 60% fuel. I'm not sure how much these drivers can go on fuel, but obviously those caution laps probably did help stretch this fuel as long as they can.
Yes, I believe these drivers should have more than enough fuel. Obviously, with the caution laps, I don't know the exact number with the 60% fuel tank, but I definitely know with all those caution laps that we had, we should be able to make it to the end of the stage with on fuel.
we've already crossed that halfway threshold here in stage 1, and starting to see, you know, the people who it looks like who's going to get stage points. And unfortunately, for that 22 of Justin Johnson right now, sitting back there in P11. But the issue is not where he's running. The issue is where the guy who's racing for the regular season championship is running. He's leading the race right now, that 24, Thomas Flynn. Justin needs to at least probably get up inside and maybe get a couple stage points to help negate the damage. But right now, Thomas, you know, has done a good job keeping that car clean and out front. And right now, it looks like the only guy who's really within striking range right now is this 43 of Mark Groberg, as he's driven his way through the field and actually catching this 24 pretty quickly.
Yes, he is. He is flying right now. He's somebody that flies under the radar a lot, and I know he is fully capable of winning a race here at iSNF, and, you know, 2/10 faster the last lap. He's gonna give him a run for his money and try to take the stage win away from Thomas here.
And obviously with those caution laps coming out, I mean, he's only got 15 laps to go, right? And so you get the end of stage 1, and I imagine
we have a big crash in turn 3, Christian.
Big crash in turn 3. Caution will wave. Eventually, Don Blazier looks like showed him up on the screen here. Involved in, wow, looks like Don. Blue side of turn 2. Yeah, it looks like he was just trying to save this through the whole backstretch here. 17, and then, oh man, up the track he's gonna go. Gonna grab the 88, gonna grab the 97. He's gonna grab all it. The whole Trackhouse team, it looks like, right there. And yeah, caution will wave. Unfortunate for, I guess, Team Trackhouse. And yeah, caution will wave, and you saw it right there. 17 just upset out of turn 2, just trying to save it, and just could not hold on.
That was a very expensive corner for Team Trackhouse. You are absolutely right, Christian.
Well, caution will wave, and then you'll see the pace car already backed out. The question is now, do you see, you know, some drivers come down, take tires here, try to flip the stage, and maybe try to drive through the field here?
You know, I think some people in the back half of the top 10 will. I fully expect to see Thomas Flynn stay out here. There was only maybe a 10th or 2 of fall off. I don't think they ran enough laps to warrant, you know, coming in to take tires.
From some drivers, Scott Trusty will hit from P3. That's the didn't expect someone up that far, like you said, Demos, to come up here and you know, give away the track position, but he felt like he needs the tires. It looks like saw some drivers further back. Shane Johnson in that 20 machine comes down. James Bowles, I feel like, yeah, I think James that's a smart call for him. He was struggling a lot in those first couple laps and dropped outside the top 10. But yeah, I mean, really interesting to see that 51 come down, but yeah, for the most part, you're right. A lot of these guys up front want to keep the track position. Obviously, holding on to green with 9 in the go here-ish. So, not a lot of laps here. And for everybody else up here with these older tires, it's just go time to try to get some track position. Maybe make up a couple spots to get some stage points.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see him pit from that far off, considering, you know, the restart troubles. You know, you're taking a big chance restarting back there where all the trouble has seemed to be. It's a risk that's, you know, worth taking. I mean, obviously he wasn't leading and maybe he was struggling. The 51, I think he did hit the wall once. I don't hate that he's trying something. I'm just surprised that he would give up second or third place.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense if he had some wheel damage or something and it was really bothering him from hitting that outside wall, but I didn't really see a lot of cosmetic damage. That obviously doesn't mean there's not damage. I mean, these next gens are pretty tough. At least like the body, these composite bodies are pretty tough. But I feel like the weakest part of this car is the toe link, and a lot of times break a toe link and not really have any visual damage. So maybe, obviously, I don't think he had a broken toe link, or he would have been down the pits a lot earlier. But maybe some steering damage, maybe something that would have caused him to come down. But we'll have to see. Those drivers, if they can drive through the field, I feel like it's going to be harder than I think they expect it to, especially because a majority of the field stayed out. So we're going to see as we'll get back going to green here, and we'll go 10 laps to go here in stage 1. Once again, it'll be 24, and then that 43 who was driving through the field very quickly. We'll get ready to go back into the restart zone. Thomas Flynn leads us back to green. 10 laps to go in stage 1. Oh, the 9. Dodging a wave. Jimmy Johnson. Oh man, is that the 45 stop back there? Blake Hullett? Yeah, he is. Jimmy Johnson. I think he was the the guy to have the issue here on the restart. And take a look here at our. Let's see if we can find different cam here. Our chopper cam. Same thing we've seen every restart here, that we've had a mistake. It's that upshift in the third. Just super. It looks like just super difficult to get through the gears here on these restarts.
That's got to be so frustrating for him. He was the guy, he was up 22 spots, I believe, from where he started. He started basically dead last, and he was into the top 6, in position for stage points, and just to make the same mistake that feels like everybody has been making, that's got to be so frustrating. Fortunately, I don't think he has a ton of damage, so he should have the opportunity to fix it and make a charge to the field again.
Yeah, obviously you might see someone like him. I mean, the 51 down pit road again, so that I think really does confirm that he might have some damage or something that he needs to get fixed if he's coming down again. But yeah, I imagine maybe some of these guys will come down and take some tires here, maybe. See the left side, the right side's going up on that time machine. So yeah, I just assume, yeah, a lot of these guys maybe topping off on fuel, maybe just getting some damage fixed. But once again, that kind of changes everything else up. And with that restart, I put the 19 up in second up here, 19 spots from where she started, Emily. And a really good run for her. Obviously, she's had some flashes of speed throughout this season, but hasn't really been up here racing for the lead that often.
Somebody I want to highlight, Christian, is Mark Gonzalez. He was involved in the lap 1 wreck, and he spent extensive time on pit road, and he is already back up to his starting position before the end of stage 1, and he's in position to get stage points and even compete for the stage win. So it all seemed doom and gloom at the very beginning for Mark, but he is slowly but surely, not even that, he's very quickly made his way back up to the front here.
Yeah, Mark is someone I raced with him last season here as a teammate, and Mark is he's one of these guys who just grind out these finishes. I think it's doom and gloom, and you'll see him up inside the top 5, top 3, top 2 at the end of these races if he can get there, right? Obviously with the DVP and stuff like that iRacing has. Sometimes there's nothing that these drivers can do, but Mark is someone who will always grind out and try to get the best finish he can and won't give up on it. So yeah, a really good recovery by him. A good recovery by the 22 back there. Remember, Justin needs to have a good stage points. He needs to have a good stage finish here. At least keep within striking distance of that 24 who will lead us back to green here. And we'll see the pace car again at down pit road. It's going to be the 19 and the 24. We got to go. 6 to go here in stage 1. Second restart that we haven't had any issues. A good start here, but here comes the 19. Emily Reyes going to look underneath the 24. Here comes Mark Gonzalez. Ooh, Thomas pitching that too a little bit. I think that, I wouldn't say forced the 2 to back out of it, but definitely put him in a precarious spot. But here comes Mark. He's going to take over that P2 spot, and I'm looking back here at that 22. He's going to be hungry to try to get back to the 24 to try to mitigate the damage. He's right there within 2 spots of Thomas Flynn back there in that 24.
There is a legit chance that Justin Johnson passes Thomas here and, gains on him. And I don't think he would have thought of that, after the accident.
He's dressing up here all the way up to that top side. He might be in jeopardy of losing the spot there. That's not what you want to see, especially with these guys getting single file up here. But Mark Gonzalez got around the 19. He's starting to pedal away from the rest of the field here. Be ready to go through to go in stage 1. We'll see a really good battle here for the P2 spot. I mean, you're almost seeing kind of some almost slide jobs here. Saw Thomas try to drive it in at the corner and had to back out of it. Emily did a good job blocking that run. And yeah, some really good racing up here inside the top 5. Fortunately for Justin, he has not been able to make up spots since he got up here and into this P6 position. Not been able to, find a way to get around quite yet. We got the 3 of Will Austin in front of him, and then that 43 of Broberg, who showed a lot of pace here, kind of in the middle part of this run. But everybody's single file right now. Emily Race under fire from the 24. Caution should wave out here, so Mark Gonzalez wrecked to winning the stage here in stage 1.
That's a very impressive drive by him, and that shows just how resilient he is. Had a bump in the road at the very beginning of the race, and made his way back up to the front, and now he has control of this race, which is very important.
That's definitely impressive to see. And Mark, I was someone, I had someone circled on my calendar here on my notebook to be race for a championship here at the end of the season, and these types of runs definitely are going to help. Obviously, you got that win at Richmond with that fuel strategy race. Him and his teammate, saved fuel to get 1-2 there at Richmond, and obviously showing a good race here tonight at at Rockingham. Lead the field probably, I would say, all the field down Fair Road here as we ready to end stage 1. But we're going to go ahead and go HVTV side by side, so you won't miss a thing here. But we do have to pay the bills up here in the HVTV booth. But you'll be seeing green flag pit stops here on the left side of your screen, I believe. But we'll be right back after the commercial break.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome you back trackside here for the iSNF Cup Series here from Rockingham Speedway. We just saw number 2 right there, Mark Gonzalez, take stage 1. We'll actually lead the field out of Fair Road, but we do have some drivers who decide to stay out here flipping the stage. I'll be the 9 of Jimmy Johnson, and Blake Hullet in that 45 will stay out here. Obviously, they got caught up in a couple of wrecks later in stage 2. All they came down, took some good new tires, and felt good about flipping the stage here to get the track position to start stage 2.
I feel like we were just talking about them 5 minutes ago, spinning out on the restart. Here they are, 1-2 on the restart here.
That's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Obviously, they have the track position. Ideally, they want to keep it here. Need to be mistake-free on the restarts and not spinning tires. And that's for everybody. Now, not on top of, everything else, we have cold tires on this restart. So we'll extend the caution lap here. I presume we're probably trying to get everybody caught back up here to the end of the pace car, the end of the lead lap cars here. That's something they added as a rule here in the iSNF Cup Series, because I know the drivers have had some issues with getting in, putting other people in kind of bad spots here by trying to let people by who's supposed to as we're getting ready to go green. So the iSNF admins actually made a rule of, if everybody's not lined up exactly the way they need to be, once we go green, they'll delay the caution, make sure everybody gets sorted out the way they need to be, so there's no shenanigans here once we get going to green here. But you do see the lights off on the pace car. The Chevy Toyota front row, and it'll be a Ford Toyota running out that second row, as those will be the two The first 2 cars on those new tires, Mark Gonzalez, Emily Reyes, and you'll see Thomas Flynn, Will Austin back there, I think after top 6, but it's going to be those 2. You know, different strategy calls here. That'll lead the way here to start stage 2. It'll be the 9. With Jimmy Johnson, Blake Holden, the 45. We go to go back green here. The start stage 2, it's going to be Jimmy Johnson leading us back to green. I think everybody has started to figure out how these restarts are supposed to go. There goes the 45. Hold it. He's going to save it up on that outside wall, but definitely lost the track position.
And he has more damage now.
And not what the 45 wanted to see. He had all that track position. I don't know if he got help there. Looks like he might have had a little bit of help, but a lot of damage with that 45. You see him up into that outside wall. He's trying to hold on for dear life. You'll see him side by side with this 2311 teammate right there, trying to figure out how this car is going to handle with that damage. So they're back up front. And that allowed Jimmy Johnson to keep that race lead. I mean, he's technically has older tires, but he last pitted on lap 32, and everybody else pitted on lap 41. Remember, we did have a caution in between there, right? So it's you know what, maybe a 5-lap difference here. You know, Demos, do you think at least right now that's going to really play a factor in the pace of this 9 car versus everybody else?
Right now, I do not think so, but I think if this stage goes green, I think you will start to see it towards the end of the run. Obviously, you said, you know, only maybe 3-4 green flag laps on those tires, so I don't think so. I think you'll be fine right now until the next caution, whenever that may come.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's getting caught by Mark, but I don't think that's a tire, you know, difference. I think Mark has just really found his rhythm here and is trying to run back down this 9 machine. And I'm starting to see this as a pattern too. Is like, even though we you know, the diffuser is in there, we're starting to see even now with this up horsepower. It seems like a lot of the time, some of the times you'll see kind of the driver behind kind of stall out here, and they really have to push a little bit harder to get to the back end of these cars to try to make a move here. I mean, we just saw right there, he'll get up into the outside wall, trying to just get a little bit out of it. As, oh, a spin in the back. Emily Reyes stopped here out of turn 4. And really off the racing surface. I'm surprised that that was called. I presume, and I do believe this is, you know, iRacing caution, so I don't think they have anybody up pushing a button. Yeah, got help from a Joe Gibbs teammate. Angel Hernandez turns her around and, yeah, just parked down here in the grass. Like I said, I'm surprised that that was considered a caution here, but we'll slow back everybody back up and compact everybody back together to go green once again.
The theme of today's race has been teammates coming together. Hopefully that doesn't happen anymore, especially with, you know, the 9 and the 24 up in the front and the 2 and the 22 up in the front. You know, I'm not that much of a trend guy, but not something you want to see, especially we have trouble right now under yellow. The 41 has crashed on the front straightaway.
Oh man, Bob Wyckoff having some issues by the sounds of it. See if we can find him here. 41, yeah, slow here. We'll having a bob here. Yeah, under caution. Get any help here, or did he just? Yeah, he looped it on his own. It looks like maybe downshifted or something. That's really the only way I'd see that car doing that. Maybe downshifted a little bit too quickly under pacing, and yeah, definitely not gonna. Those tires definitely gonna like that.
And remember that incident limit, Christian. It all adds up.
But you already see lights off on the pace car once again, and you're ready to go back green here from Rockingham, and obviously a very rocky start. Our 7th caution here on lap 53. Hopefully, you know, the cautions can kind of slow down here. Obviously, and honestly, you would say almost all these cautions have been an attestament of the restarts of people being just a little bit too aggressive. But I think everybody's kind of found what they need to do to, you know, restart safely, I guess is the best way to put it. And hopefully we can continue to get some more green flag laps under our belt here. But Jimmy Johnson, Mark Gonzalez, as they put up on that front row, Chevy Ford. Round out that front row, and then a Chevy lockout. Gonna be completing your fast forward, but once again we'll hand the reins back over to Jimmy Johnson. We're back to green here to start lap 55. Really good jump out of the 24, help from the 9. Remember, those two are teammates, so they probably got that countdown of, you know, 3, 2, 1, go, I presume. But Mark Gonzalez fighting tough on the top side. And look who's behind that 24. It's his, you know, that's the guy he's racing for this regular season championship. It's Justin Johnson, you know, trying to make his way up through the field once again. Fortunately, that 22 under attack with the 43 of Roberg, and I think Justin did a good job getting himself, you know, the track position. I just don't think he has the car right now to keep up. We've seen, you know, the 24 get away a little bit now, and now 22 under pressure from the 43. Now it looks like going to be under pressure from the 3 of Will Austin. He's not careful. And we've seen him try to use that top side a couple times, and I haven't been able to make it work yet. I don't know if he wants to continue to try to do that, but and maybe abandon that top side. I mean, it looks like he's running pretty well when he gets to that bottom, but that top side is not looking for the 22 machine right now.
Yeah, somebody who's starting to struggle is Jimmy Johnson. He just lost the lead here, and he is plummeting through the field right now. He looks considerably slower than everybody around him, and there was almost a massive accident with him and Martin Roberg during the last lap.
I mean, remember, you know, this 9 does have a little bit older tires, plus, you know, he's been caught up in a couple of incidents, so, you know, that car, I presume, probably not 100%, you know, fixed yet. And on top of that, you know, we've seen how hard this track is to navigate and stuff like that, so it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how far this 9 drops, and if anything, this is a learning lesson, right? Even 5-lap-old tires, you see this 9 drop into the field.
Absolutely. Everybody in the field should be taking note right now that 5 laps worth of tires and maybe some damage plays this big of a role. Shows that tires seem to be more important than we originally thought.
That's going to be exciting to see, you know, if we can get a long run to see how well the tires play out, right? You know, and who's going to save and who's going to burn their stuff up and try to hold on. Currently right now, it's Mark Gonzalez who is pulled away slowly away from the field here. He's got about a second gap over Thomas Flynn, and look, that 22 has gotten around so many drivers. Now it's going to be this 22 and this 24 battling it out for this P2 position.
Absolutely. My only fear with what Justin is doing right now is that he is charging the entry to try to make up time, and that does eat the tire alive. So you got to be careful with that. You got to pick and choose when you do that. Right now, he's getting clean air on his nose in the corners. I think he's doing a really good job right now. You just got to be careful, especially if we get a long green flag right now.
As he's there right in the back end of that 24, and yeah, I definitely agree. You know, charging the corners that hard definitely does burn yourself up, and I know Justin knows that, but I think Justin wants to get around this 24 and maybe try to, you know, lay back here, but Thomas doing a really good job holding on to this P2 position. You see this 24, this 22, my apologies. You know, we saw him kind of run a little, about a half lane lower. That time he kind of followed that 24 in, and, you know, overdriving the corner plus getting stuck in that dirty air, that's what's really going to kill those front tires. But still trying to keep that 24 in real there. But it looks like a battle further on back. The 77 going after the 43. Roberg versus Greg Lautenslaughter in the 77 machine. Remember, Craig has a win. He's won a race here this season. At 43, hasn't. And wow, a really bad quarter for the 43. He's going to be under attack now from the 3, Will Austin. And I really just think that's just a testament of the track, right? You have one bad corner, and there's going to be a bunch of cars up on you ready to pounce. He had one bad corner. He lost 2 spots there, and potentially lose another here today if Gabe can make the pass.
See, this is a rhythm track, Christian. If you get out of your rhythm once, it messes you up for multiple laps at a time, and I think that's what we're seeing out of Martin right now. He made that mistake, got past it, then he started to hit the wall, and he's starting to slip up now.
And I feel like also when it comes to rhythm, right? When you get out of your rhythm, you usually burn your stuff up. You usually just make mistakes, right? And then and when you're making mistakes, right, you lose time. And when you lose time, you kind of have to tell yourself, oh shoot, now I have to push, right? Trying to make that time back up, and it's just kind of a snowball effect. And usually, you know, unless you settle down and get your composure back, get that rhythm back, we'll start to see, you know, the mistakes continue to snowball, and you know, have that driver, you know, drop to the field, lose position, and just continue to lose time to the drivers up in front.
Somebody who's in their rhythm right now is Mark Gonzalez. He is absolutely flying right now, a whole 10 faster than P2 that lap. I feel like this is his race to win, and we're only on lap 68 here.
I mean, we're already closing in on 10 to go here in stage 2. And yeah, Mark is in his own zip code right now, and actually a good battle here for the P2 spot.
2.5 tenths faster, Christian. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, Mark has definitely got this track figured out. There's a little contact between the 24, a little bit of the door up. You know, Justin wants this spot bad. You know, these two are racing for the regular season title, and with them racing side by side, that's allowed the 77 to make his way into the picture. I think the 22 will finally clear, but you know, that 24 getting used up, he's at bay now from the 77.
And I don't think Thomas is going to appreciate that at all. You know, the 22 didn't make a lot of friends last week at Darlington, you know, with that one accident earlier in the race there. I don't think Thomas will be happy. I think he's going to remember that for later in the race.
Yeah, Thomas, you know, he's always been someone who's been consistently consistent, right? And, you know, he thinks about that stuff, right? And I feel like he's someone who really doesn't get riled up a lot. But, you know, when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, we only have a couple races left. The 77!
Oh, no!
That's an Alliance car as well, who just used up the 24. You know, Spire and Hendrick Motorsports here in the iSNF Cup Series. Those two are aligned cars, and caution will wave. But, yeah, that's definitely not what Thomas wanted to see. Like maybe the 35 had an issue. We'll take a look and see if we can find James Bowles here, outside wall, and trying to save it. Oh, man. 71 will grab him. That's Chris Bishop. And looks like that car might be put on the tow, and looks like that might be night over for James Bowles.
To go back to Thomas Flynn, Christian, it may not look like a big moment on, you know, from the outside, but that is a big moment in the car, and he did a great job of not overcorrecting the car, keeping his car intact, you know, and he just got a caution. It's gonna, you know, he's gonna probably have a chance here. You know, I feel like these guys might pit for tires here. A chance to regroup. That's the most important thing. Same thing for Martin Roberg, who was struggling earlier. This is a big chance to regroup, you know, flip the script.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Mark and Thomas have been there in that top 5, you know, point, you know, all race, and I think they have the pace, you know, to go up there. Obviously, I don't know if Justin was a little bit quicker than Thomas that time. I just think he just wanted the spot a little bit more, and made a definitely good point, you know, up here from the outside point of view. You know, it was you could definitely tell that he was trying to save it, but there's a lot of times, especially in these next gen cars, that it just looks like a little minor correction, but you're wheeling that thing out of the corner to try to keep it going and try to keep it straight. And with you know the racket and pinion steering here in these next gens, it's so easy to overcorrect, and when it goes here. You know, there's no, it's not like the O'Reilly car or the truck where you can kind of like almost in a way drift it around the track. There's no, you can't really do that in the next gen. It's when it's gone, and you're just along for the ride.
Yes, and he did, you know, a veteran move. He hit the brakes. He locked it down when he, you know, initially got sideways. And not a lot of people do that. A lot of people naturally, you know, correct it to the right, you know, because that's what other cars do. But for this, you know, got to lock it down, and he, you know, did that.
You can definitely tell who has a lot of experience in the car versus, you know, some people who might just be good at everything, right? Because in every other car, that's what you do. You counter steer to the right, and you know, play with the gas until it straightens out. But a lot of times when you try to do that in the next gen, it will straighten out, but it will continue to you know, to go to the right once you correct it. That's just the way. I mean, the racket pinion steering, it's just because it's a direct steering box. There's no play area, right? It's directly to the tires. It's directly to the steering box, and it's just so much more responsive than anything else we have here on the NASCAR side, at least. And it makes it drive differently when it comes to those kind of slides. Pace car once again take a hard left turn on pit road. It'll be the two Penske Fords leading us back to green. That'll be Gonzalez, Johnson, bottom and top, and then you'll see a Chevy lockout there. The 77 and 3, big ready to go. 5 laps to go here in stage 2. And Mark Gonzalez, not a good start for him. That's exactly what Justin wanted to see. Like, thanks, teammate. I'm gonna take the spot. Mark got some help there. A lot of damage to that tube machine.
He didn't get help, Christian. That's unbelievable for this race. He was the dominant car, and one restart, and it's all gone.
And what happened to the 22? Justin Johnson down pit road.
I believe he jumped the restart and got a black flag. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I mean, that's tough because I would look at that because it just looked like Mark did not have a good start. Like, it just looked like he might have like started in 5th or something.
Christian, look who's leading. Will Austin.
Yeah. What a unbelievable set of events right there. We saw Mark Gonzalez have a bad start there and give his teammate a penalty. And Justin Johnson comes through and has to, you know, serve that penalty under green. Will Austin leads the field, and guess what? Angel Hernandez somehow makes his way up here. Thomas Flynn somehow still up here in this top 3. Coming out of turn 4. Doesn't matter what circumstances happen. Will Austin will take stage 2 here. Wait on the top 10 to cycle through. Caution will wave, and Will Austin kind of lucks his way. I wouldn't say lucks his way, but steals the stage here from Rockingham.
I'm still trying to process what happened, Christian. That was a crazy final 5 laps at that stage.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm trying to find the screen flag here. I'm gonna go back and look at the 2 here of Gonzalez here and see what happened while we get the opportunity to. We'll go on board here with this driver. Yeah, starting in 2nd. Yeah, okay. I really don't know what to say then, because it's not like he was out of gear. It just looked like he just went on the green flag and maybe, but still, I don't know, because like that whole top side just flew around them. So a really peculiar.
Definitely a weird one, and I don't really understand why you would wait until the end of the zone, you know. a lot of these guys are kind of trigger happy when it comes to, you know, restarts.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're taking a chance waiting that far into the zone, and unfortunately for Mark, it all kind of unraveled after that restart.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and obviously we saw him take the slide right there out of turn 2. That lose him a bunch of track position, but definitely interesting stuff. It looks like the one Iskandar wins the race off pit road. This will be by far the first laps that Mike has led this season. Will Austin P2, Thomas Flynn will come out P3.
It was a fuel-only stop for the one car, Christian.
I'd be interested to see when was the last time he came down, because obviously now on timing and scoring it's going to tell us the last time he came down was lap 81 because he just came out of pit road. But I'm interested to see, you know, I presume he probably came down and took fresh tires that last caution, right? He had to have if he's going to come down and only top off on fuel.
You know, it's something to think about, Christian, is with all these accidents, people have been taking tires, and we have, you know, tire sets here, I believe. And, you know, if you're accidentally losing count, you know, how many you're using, you know, you don't want to run out of tires. I mean, you need to have fresh tires to be competitive.
Yeah. I know they have either 4 or 5 sets. It says in the race notes 4, but usually that's usually 4 on top of the set that they have. So I'm unsure if it's 4 or 5, but still, if it is 4, I mean, that gives what, you know, if you're going to play the race right, you pit after stage 1, pit after stage 2, that's 2 sets, and then you pit, you know, during that last green flag pit cycle that we potentially have during stage 3, that's only 1 extra set. So, I mean, I'm very interested to see, you know, how the tires are going to be managed throughout the race here, but pace car going to head down pit road. Chevy front row is going to be in the 1 and the 3. Iskandar leads us back to green. Already that one gets swallowed up by that top side. Will Austin. Oh, is the Wreck-It in the back? That's the 77. No caution yet. No caution. Wow. And guess
Will
what?
Austin also had a big moment off of turn 2, and he got into the 54.
And look who's back in the race lead. It's the 24 of Thomas Flynn, I swear. He just has, you know, the golden horseshoe right now, at least at Rockingham, just to be able to navigate through the calamity throughout the whole race now. He leads the race. Will Austin back there. P2. Somehow, after all that, Justin Johnson still on the lead lap after having that drive-through penalty. He's back here in P10. Well, you see Mike Iskandar up in that outside wall. He'll lose a bunch of track position there as well. We'll drop outside the top 10. Back there in P11.
What a crazy race, Christian.
No, I mean, it's definitely been chaotic. It's definitely been topsy-turvy. We've had, I mean, this is the definition of you know, comers and goers throughout the field. We've had people come through the field, drop back, come back through the field, and make a mistake, drop back. It's really unbelievable, right? You look at Will Austin, he's had a couple of incidents in his own right. Now back up here inside the top 2, right? You look at, you know, Justin Johnson, he literally had a penalty for jumping the start at that last restart, and he's inside the top 10 now in P8. It's so topsy-turvy. You know, we thought that maybe Mark had the car to beat. He wrecks that car. It looks like he's still out on track, laps down, but now I don't really know if there's a favorite for the win.
And you pointed at it earlier in our, you know, pre-race show, race of attrition. And we're seeing exactly that right now. There's no clear favorite. I mean, don't even pick someone, Christian. I mean, this is just unbelievable.
No, I mean, it's hard to pick someone, right? Because we've seen how much a little mistake can, you know, put a car so far behind, right? Like, for instance, for Thomas Flynn, if he doesn't save that car, he's outside the top 10. He's probably wrecked, right? He doesn't save the car from the couple of contacts he's had. And right now, you know, he's doing a good job and sitting up here and, you know, leading the race, but still has a whole, you know, rear end full of this rear machine trying to pressure him for this race lead. And you see kind of the different lines out of these drivers. You see the three. Once again, like we mentioned with that 22, just a little bit lower, just a half a lane lower, just to get that little bit of clean air on the nose. Try to help the car rotate a little bit better behind this 24 machine.
You know, and there's not really a way to protect what Will Austin is doing. Thomas is running, you know, the preferred line. You know, Will is just doing that to get clean air on his nose. It may not be like the faster line as like a lead car. Yeah, here goes Will Austin right here.
I don't know, really aggressive block by the 24. Yeah, I definitely agree. Sometimes the car behind has to just run that different line to give him an opportunity to get to you, right? I think, you know, that Thomas is running the best line that is for his car, right? And Will is kind of having to be almost forced to run that half a lane lower. It might be not the fastest, but it's what he has to do to keep up with this 24 machine.
And that's why Thomas Flynn is the points leader. It's because, you know, of that. He's driving out of the windshield. He's worrying about his race, not anybody else's. And he's keeping his car clean.
No, primarily this. He's leading the points, and he missed last week, right? That's just all you have to say, right? I mean, he missed the race and still has the points lead. And obviously, we've seen, you know, these kind of situations before, right? When we've seen some dominant performances by some drivers who, you know, especially towards the end of the season, who clinched the title before they even, you know, start the race. Thomas just has that mentality about him. He's a points racer. He's not going to wreck. He's not going to put himself in a bad spot. Racing for P5, racing for P3. If that's where his car is, he's going to, you know, get a podium. If he does not have the car to beat, he's okay, you know, getting a top 5, getting a top 10, right? And that's exactly how you build the points up. When you don't have the best car, you just get the best finish you can. And right now, that's exactly what this 24 is doing. Keeping the car clean and you know, giving himself the best opportunity to continue to extend this points gap to the cars behind.
Exactly, Christian. And if you remember a few weeks back when I was last in here with you guys, Indianapolis, we thought he was on his way to a crown jewel win and came up one spot short. And I expected him to be, you know, devastated, bummed, but he had a positive outlook, you know, recognized it was a good points day, finished second still, and that just shows who the racer he is. I mean, he's a points racer, and, you know, he's going to fight, you know, all throughout the season, and that's, you know, a great characteristic to have.
No, and it's the perfect characteristic to have in this style of you know, points format that we have now. Like, I feel like the playoffs really hurt Thomas a lot because he can go up there and win races, but I don't think his prerogative is to win races. His prerogative is to get the best finish he can, right? And now with this new points, this chase format, this really comes into a lot of other drivers' wheelhouse. You'll see a lot of drivers who, and we talked about it in the real life Cup Series, who were really successful in the playoffs era of NASCAR. And you're going to see a whole new cast of characters who are going to really excel in this new chase style format.
No, I don't even think the chase format will hurt him. I think it will actually help him because he finishes races when other people don't. And that's how he adds up points. I think the playoffs, honestly, that probably hurt him more than helped him.
That's definitely a good point because at the end of the day, caution will wave here. See if, oh wow, Jimmy Johnson, it looks like might have wrecked here early. We'll see if we can take a look at the number 9 machine up and we've seen this time and time again. This turn 2. If it's not the restart, it's that turn 2 wall. Grabbing another car, and that's exactly what happened. I'm getting up in an outside wall. And from the looks of it, it just kind of when you hit it, it just kind of just spits you out. And you're just along for the ride. And we've seen it time and time again here this race.
Yeah, because once you hit the wall, it launches your car up into the air, and, you know, the weight transfer, kind of wishy-washy. And as we stated before, when Thomas Flynn had that moment, you know, it's really hard to save these cars when they get out of control. Really, the only thing you can do is lock it down. And if you don't lock it down immediately, you're just going to hit one of the walls.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be this. That's going to be Calamity Quarter. throughout the whole race. We're probably going to see a couple of abundance more cars get up there and grab it and give themselves a bad issue there. But it's going to be interesting to see, you know, towards the end there when these guys are pushing for everything they've got, who's going to make that little mistake here. But we do get the opportunity to under caution. We do have the 24 that we can talk to here. So let's go ahead and talk to your race leader here. Also, your points leader here, Thomas Flynn, up here in the booth. Hey, Thomas, it's Christian and Daniel up here in the HVTV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, what a topsy-turvy race we've had tonight here from Rockingham. Obviously, you've been up, you know, inside this top 5 throughout the whole race, leading the race here. Walk us through, you know, out the helmet. What's going on in your mind?
Shoot, I don't know. I've seen a lot in front of my windshield and a lot of cars going sideways, and somehow managed to keep it clean with 0x. Stayed up front. I don't think I have the fastest car, but I don't know. We'll see how this turns out.
Obviously, coming in tied in points here with Justin. You know, obviously you've been running up front all race. What is kind of the mindset here coming into this last half of the race?
I'm not too really worried about points. I don't really think any of that matters right now. I'm just trying to keep it clean and get a good finish.
I mean, that's the best mindset to have here, Thomas. But getting ready to go green, we're going to drop you back down there with your Hendrick teammates. And good luck the rest of the way.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate Thomas for coming up here and giving us some time up here in the HVTV booth. But we'll see him getting ready to start this race here. P1, start lap 104. You'll have that number 3 of Will Austin. I'm alongside him in that front row, and it'll be a Toyota. The Toyota of Mark Roberg, that Legacy Motor Club machine. Gabe Ledger, RCR number 8. Need that top 4. I mean, Gabe, he's had a lot of topsy-turvy races himself, but up inside the top 4, really good comeback for him as well. But Thomas Flynn back to the green here to start lap 104. Let's get another good restart by that 24 machine, and the new driver is up towards the front here. We see Jason Septo. We haven't talked about him at all. This is number 23 Hardy's machine up inside the top 5 for the first time. Lee back up here trying to work her way up through the top 6. Bob Wyckoff up here inside the top 10. What a run for that driver in the 41, that Haas factory team Camaro. I think he might be playing a little bit of a strategy here, but still running up inside the top 10. I mean, you got to start somewhere with that 41 team, and running up inside the top 10 is a really, really good start here for Bob.
It's a great rebound after he spun out under caution, in the top 10, and he has clean track behind him so he could focus forward, and that's, a great building point.
I mean, he got a pretty decent cushion to the car behind Evans Preston. Excuse me. Got a second and a half back to the 88 and keeping relatively decent pace with that 23 of Steptoe here in that 23 machine. So obviously Jason having a little bit of blinking issues, but yeah, it's really cool to see some new guys you don't really see up front a whole lot that start to drive their way up inside the top 10.
And Christian, that's the beauty of attrition races, is that, a lot of our heavy hitters have been falling out and new faces are appearing in the top 10 that you don't typically see on, a regular basis. So it's a great chance to highlight them and, their great runs.
No, and it's always cool because, like, for someone who might be struggling here in the Cup Series, there's a lot of talented drivers. There's a lot of talented, people who race here in the Cup Series, and it's hard, to put together good finishes. I would know. I raced here for, 6 seasons here in the iSNF Cup Series and had, up and down luck here in the Cup Series, and it'd be hard to get yourself up here in the top 10 and put yourself in contention to even, get on the broadcast and have that success that way. But, you think about this race as, obviously we're not at a super speedway, but you think of like the Cody Ware who finished P3. You had those back markers racing for the win there. And I'm not going to say we have back markers racing for the win yet, but definitely a lot of new faces up here inside the top 10.
It's a massive moral boost, especially like on a non-super speedway. On super speedways, we typically, expect underdogs to be up there, and probably so do themselves. on a non-super speedway, a track that's, this is a challenging track, and running in the top 10, when you don't expect it, it makes you feel good. And, it's, again, as we said, it's a massive step in the right direction. And, it could start a good run of races, in the future.
I definitely agree. You have to start somewhere, right? You have to, if you're having a bad season, you have to start to turn the ship in some direction. And, for a lot of these drivers, they're racing their way up inside the top 15, inside the top 10. It's in the right direction, at least for tonight, right? Obviously, anything can change within a matter of moments, but even just running inside the top 10, getting a feel for what it's like to run inside the top 10, it's the right path to take. Instead of just coming in here thinking that you're not going to run the best and then just expecting that to run bad. You have to put yourself in a position to try to excel, to try to get your car up to the front, like you see the cream of the crop here in iSNF through day in and day out. Thomas Flynn, outside wall there, has not been able to shake this 3 machine. Will Austin, we saw this in that run before that caution came out. Will is not letting this 24 get away, and is right there on the tire tracks. Every time we see this 24 out in front, it's always this 3. This RCR machine, almost into the back of the 24, but right there, ready to pounce if this 24 makes a mistake.
And I think Will is taking his time here. I don't think he's rushing to make a pass because he also, remember, we got to keep our tires on the car, I assume we might have one more pit stop in this race. So if this does go green, you need to have the tires to last a long run.
No, you have to, right? And especially for that driver in P2, it's super easy to burn up your stuff trying to stay with the driver in front or try to make the pass for the lead here. Because with Thomas, he has had a huge advantage with, obviously, I'm unsure how bad the dirty air is comparatively with this new package, but it still seems like it is affecting that 3 just a little bit. He can't really just get up to the back end of that 24 and really do anything with them. You get within, that 2-3/10 mark, and you see him start to stall out, and then he'll have to build another run, try to change a lane here to get back to him. That 24 is at such a huge advantage with that clean air. The 3 just has to, kind of set him up. Hopefully the 24 burns the stuff up a little bit more to allow him to get around. And these two have what, about a second to Justin Johnson back here in P3. And this 22, if he could get up there and race with these two, I think he might have a car to win this race. As we see, actually side by side for the race lead. Here comes the 3. He's going to try to make the move here on this 24. He's going to take that lead away from Thomas Flynn here. Will Austin leads here from Rockingham.
Christian, that pass might have happened, 5-6 seconds ago. But that all started when Will Austin ran the middle in 1 and 2 instead of the bottom behind him. He tried a different line. He got a run off the corner and got to, Thomas's inside into turn 3, and that all set up the pass. That's exactly what you have to do. That's an extremely veteran move, And now you have control of the race, and I don't think he's gonna need to look back at all. I think he could just focus forward, drive away.
I definitely agree, and that's how you set up these passes here in these Cup cars, right? You have to use the momentum. And that's all that these, for a lot of these, Speedway style tracks, the momentum is how you make the passes, right? With how the dirty air works. And you saw him use momentum, get around, and look, he's pulling away from the 24. Already a 7, almost 8/10 gap back to the 24. And now that the 24 has this dirty air, he's actually starting to fall back to the 22 of Justin Johnson, right? And this really shows, who has the better car in the clean air and who can navigate the dirty air and keep the tires underneath them. Right on board with the 22 here, and then you see him slowly but surely reeling in this 24, and this, this is the battle that we'll have to continue to watch throughout the rest of the regular season. I mean, these two neck and neck here. Obviously, I think Thomas bested him in the stages when it came to finishing position, but Justin's still right there for this finishing spot there, maybe eke out this 24 just a little bit. You see the both car in the 16 up in the outside wall. They'll get around him pretty clearly.
I wonder if Thomas's tires are starting to fall off a little bit. He's definitely starting to struggle on lap time. He's 3 tenths slower than the leaders. I wonder if, he maybe pushed a little too hard trying to keep Will behind him, and he's starting to, pay for it now.
We're starting to see that this 24 can't get down to that bottom lane, especially in the 1 and 2. You see the 22 just drive up to the back end of that 24. Had the lift to space, but see back here in the 1 and 2, he cannot get down to that, the bottom side that, like the 3 has been doing all race. Like the 22 did, they get back to him, right? I just think, yeah, the tires are maybe chewed up a little bit more than the drivers around him, and he's starting to pay for it here. I mean, we've gone, almost 45 laps on tires here. And this is where you're going to start to see, who saved the tires the best and who maybe used their stuff a little bit and then start to fall through the field.
And Christian, I can speak from experience with this. It's harder to save tires as the leader because you're the one that's dictating the pace. You don't know how slow to go. The guys behind you can kind of, take it easy. They can run like 80%, and it's really hard to gauge that. And I think that's kind of what happened with Thomas here. If you remember Indianapolis a couple weeks ago, again, he was second, and he, stayed behind the leader, and slowly but surely he was fast over the long run. And now he's on the flip side, and he's very clearly struggling right now.
Remember, he ran down Cody Meadows, made the pass for the win there. Obviously, we had that overtime finish that gave the win to Chris Otto, but yeah, I mean, he's always done a good job at that. And it's always, when you're the race leader, I always felt like it's kind of a mental game, right? Because you could either back it down and try to maintain the gap, or you can drive away, right? And try to get a gap, and hopefully you can hold on until a caution comes out, or until and just hope that when the fuel run starts to go, that the early aggression early starts to will kind of equal out once you have to come down pit road here under the green flag conditions, right? But everybody has their own ways of wanting to lead the race and wanting to control the race, right? For some people, they just want to get away and try to use their stuff up. For some people, like for me, when I get the race lead, I just maintain a gap, and if they are running 80%, I feel like I can do a good job at least keeping the gap. And if they run me down, right? And then usually that means I don't have anything for them anyways. But see, now Justin John's getting around to 24. Luckily, Thomas Flynn has a pretty sizable gap back to from the race back there to the 19 machine. Yeah, definitely the tire's starting to fade on this 24. Now, and like I said, not only is it hard to lead the race. Oh, Emily in the outside walk, huge there. I might have broke her car if she's gonna come down pit road.
Yeah, there looks to be some steering damage on Emily's car. That's super unfortunate, running in the top 5 to have that happen.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously she's going to fix the damage, but I think we're out of the fuel window here still, so that's kind of a double negative here. Maybe if she would have done that maybe 20 laps later. Oh, the 9 in the outside wall.
Oh,
Ricky!
No! Teammates.
That was Steven Sear.
And that's right in front of the other Hendrick car.
Once again, no caution. And what a terrible set of circumstances there. And this is what the 3rd or 4th time we've seen these Hendrick cars get together here. You just see the 9 loose out of 4 and just barely clips the front end of the 5, and around they'll both go. Man, what a I mean, that's just terrible luck for Steven in that 5 machine.
First Trackhouse, then JGR, now Hendrick. Who's next?
I think it might be just a Chevy problem by the sounds of it. So they just got to continue to start to click off the list. I guess RCR would be next, right? So maybe Spire. Yeah, Will Austin continuing to pull away. Justin Johnson has a lap car holding him up a little bit. Hopefully Scott will give him the room here to get by. Like he will. Justin will get around the 51 there. But, I mean, we've run what now? 55 laps on fuel. When do you think the fuel window will open up here?
Christian, I wish I knew. I don't know. I think regardless of the fuel window, I think the tires are gonna go first. With how slow or how much the pace has been dropping off, I think tires are gonna be a problem before fuel. I personally would like to try to get to lap 150 at least, to kind of guarantee that you can make it on fuel, but you could also make it on tires. Almost like splitting the stage in half.
I mean, that's a good idea, right? Obviously, we're gonna have to go longer here in this kind of first half of this kind of stint, if you want to call it. Get the lap 150, but 22 has found something here these last couple laps. He cut this lead in half here, what, with these last 3 or 4 laps. And Will had almost a 1.2 second lead. He's down to now almost half a second. Back to Justin Johnson. Justin, either Will has really just fell off quickly here, or Justin maybe has started to turn up the heat because he knows he's going to be pitting sooner or later.
I believe so. I think it could also be a combination of, lapped cars too, because, the leaders are definitely hitting lap traffic. But we also have some cars on pit road now. The 24 and the 8 are both in the pits as we speak.
Here comes Thomas Flynn down pit side. Here comes the 8 of Ledger. Gonna be the first cars to take that left turn and turn down the pit road. And now, if you're these race leaders, do you react to that? Here comes the 3 of Will Austin down pit road. So instead of going to lap 150, a lot of these drivers are going to cut it down to lap 140 and make this last run 60 laps here. Justin Johnson takes over your race lead. He'll get some bonus points for leading these laps here. But now, when does this 22 come in?
I believe he's going to come in right now.
Okay, one more lap here. Flynn right in front. So I believe Flynn should stay on the lead lap here if a caution would come out miraculously. No, Flynn is 1 lap down, I believe. Yes.
Yes, he is.
So he's
but that's... Go ahead, Christian.
But he's trying to stay just 1 lap down. He's trying to not go 2 laps down, but he's got the fresh Goodyear tires. He should easily pull away from the 22 here.
But that's the chance you take when you pit early, especially at a track like Rockingham, which is smaller than your traditional mile and a half, which just drives like, is you go a lap down, if there's a caution, you're going to have to take the wave around and you're going to be on older tires and you're going to lose all your track position. So these are going to be a very tense couple of laps until the rest of the pit cycle cycles through.
Really interesting. Right now, only 5 drivers are left to pit in this pit cycle, and actually one of them is Mark Gonzalez right here. Right in front of your race leader. Like, he's gonna go a lap down just on pace, and just, what could have been for this 2 machine?
Took the words right out of my mouth, Christian. It's terrible to, have the dominant car, it feels like, and then just have a mistake and stuff out of your control kind of take it away, and that's racing though, and that's why we show up every single week. Racing is unpredictable and you just never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, and at the very least, Mark has to come out of this race with his head high. He's not gonna get the finish he deserves, but he had probably the best car tonight, and unfortunately, a couple mistakes. That's all it takes. It takes 1 mistake, right? Take yourself out of the fight. And unfortunately for Mark, it took 2, right? Obviously, he had a bad restart and made a mistake out of 2 on that restart. He was out of it for the rest of the way. But I guess on the bright side, his 22, his teammate here, Justin, looks like he has, he might now be the car to be as he was starting to run down the race leaders here on the ladder after that first run here to start stage 3.
Absolutely, and what you're seeing him do right now is he's going to try and overcut, basically. He's going to run longer, give himself a tire delta so that he has fresher tires for this last stint of the race. And that could kind of go both ways, There's a chance that the tires could equal out at the middle part of the run, and he doesn't gain back that time that he loses right now. But on the flip side, he could gain back that time. He could be leading by more. It's just this whole chess match. And it's going to be really exciting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the game, right? As if I stay out this late, like, this is 10 laps now after, you know, probably the guy who's racing Will Austin and Thomas Flynn came down pit road, right? There's those 10 lap pressure tires make it worthwhile, and does he have enough in the tank to drive back through and retake the race lead, or does the tires equal out here? You know, maybe with 15 to go, 10 to go, right? It's just gonna be interesting to see if the 22 can run this right. You know, we saw literally this last week at Iowa. We saw Kenorian Davis overcut it, and he got within 2 seconds, and it just hovered there. He could not get back to the inevitable race winner, and about Wyatt Thompson. And this could very much be the same case here for the 22 of Justin. I hope not. I hope that at the very least it equals out and we have a really good battle for the win here in the closing laps. But right now, still this 22 is continuing to stay out here and to lead some more laps here from Rockingham.
Justin's doing a good job. He's only half a tenth off of Will Austin's lap times right now, so he's not losing a ton of time. But as you said, he's been out longer for almost 15 laps longer now, and that time does add up. So the only thing that crosses my mind is if fuel is a concern, and they don't think they can make it, and that's why Justin is running that long.
Yeah, I mean, that would be definitely interesting to see. If maybe he knows that. I mean, he's going to be going with 45 to go here. If that's the case, that'd be pretty insane to see. I mean, they pitted what on lap 140, right? If they can't even go 50, yet last 60 laps, I don't know why you would pit then. But yeah, it's definitely a talking point to see if maybe that is the thing. But now the 77 come down pit side there, and he will give up all that track position here. Finally, he'll take that hard left turn down the pit road, and see where Craig ends up here at the end of this run. And here comes the 22.
Christian, we almost had a yellow and a massive break for Justin, but they all kept it straight. The 23 had a car pitting in front of him, and there was contact made. No yellow, though. We're all good. I think Justin would have loved to see that yellow, though, with all the cars shackled up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is like a Christmas day for the leaders if that would have happened, right? Angel and Justin. That would have been awesome for them. Not awesome for the rest of the field here, but Angel is going to continue to stay out here. Angel, Mark Gonzalez, now Mike Iskandar comes down pit road, and for Angel, right? He hasn't shown the pace. Obviously, I think he's got residual damage from all the wrecks here. He came out and won last week, and Angel doesn't need an introduction. 3-time champion here in the iSNF Cup Series. He's really done everything here that he needs to solidify himself as a GOAT status almost here in the Cup Series. So Angel is trying to do something. I just think he's trying to limp around here and go for a caution to maybe at least give him some type of advantage here, because we ran enough laps now that if drivers do have maybe a set of tires in the pits, I would assume that they'd come down and take them here for this last run.
Yes, I think Angel's just hanging out for a yellow, get an opportunity to fix some damage and try and salvage something out of nothing. I don't hate the strategy call. He's obviously not going to win from this position. You never know. If you get a yellow, there's only 3 people on the lead lap right now. You can change your race.
I mean, Angel, I think Mark's was doing the same thing. He finally comes down. Here comes Angel as well, I believe. Yeah, Angel and Mark will finally cease fire here and come down pit road here. So Will Austin retakes the race lead. Justin Johnson only what? I'll have to look here. 3.5 seconds back as Will Austin will come across here. As caution will wave. Caution.
77, Christian.
77 of Lautenschlager. Remember, he pitted later than the rest of the field here. We'll take a look and see if we can find what happened to Craig here in the 77 camp. On the outside of the 45. 45 just overdrives the corner. Gets up, the 77 trying to save it, but unfortunately cannot. Sitting right in the middle of the racing service. I mean, that one had to be called. There's been a couple of questionable ones that were called that probably shouldn't. This one definitely needed to be called here. I mean, sitting right in the middle of the racing surface. Lucky for him, no one came in there and completely KO'd this guy. So, but cautionable wave. This really does change the outcome of this race, though.
This is an unbelievable break for Angel Hernandez. He was in the pits as the caution came out, so he didn't go a lap down for running too long. And he's going to have fresh tires. Freshest tires in the field. He's not going to restart as the leader, but, I mean, this is the lucky break that he needed.
Yeah, I mean, Angel definitely still has a lot of damage on that machine. I mean, you look at that left front. I mean, that's the fender, that splitter is completely off the ground, which is not the most ideal, I guess, for you know, downforce-centric track, right? That all the downforce is definitely going to help keep that car going, but definitely a big break for the 54. But at least, you know, give himself an opportunity, right? That's all you really are looking for when you're in these types of situations, is an opportunity to keep the track position. Obviously, if I was Angel, I mean, do you come down and, you know, take the damage, or do you just keep the track position here with still, you know, just under 40 to go?
I think you've caught a break. I think you should pit. I mean, the damage has definitely been hurting him. Looks like he's just going to stay out, though, and I don't blame him. I don't think you could go wrong either way. You know, track position is obviously important, but, you know, you want to have a clean car. I don't think you could go wrong either way. But something that has shocked me is Will Austin. He was leading. He came down pit road for fresh tires.
Yeah, I mean, and the question is, was that his last set? That his last set of tires, right? He will restart P5, but if that was his last set, I mean, he's expecting it to go green the rest of the way, I believe, if he's going to come down as the leader to take the tires.
You know, I understand the call because, you know, Justin Johnson only has a few laps on his tires, and there was, you know, again, that 15, 16 lap, you know, delta on the tires, and I don't hate it, but if that's his last set, I mean, that's, you know, that's your one lifeline gone. You gotta hanging out the rest of the race, and if we get like a yellow with like 10 to go, we go green till 10 to go, I mean, everybody's gonna pit, and you're gonna be big trouble.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, you know. Obviously, the 3 is going to have a little bit fresher tires, but can he get back up to the 22? Can he get back up to the 24 Flynn, right? Obviously, he's not that far back, but, you know, these two are going to try to get away as quickly as they can, knowing that 3 has the fresher tires.
I'm just glad I'm in the broadcast booth and I'm not the one driving right now, because this has been making my head hurt. There's so much strategy going on, you know. You have no idea what the right decision is, and we still don't know what the right decision is. You know, all of this still has to play out, and it's going to be really, really exciting.
It is going to be exciting to see, you know, how this works, because I still don't think there is a strategy. I don't think anybody has made the race-winning strategy yet, right? If Will Austin doesn't get a caution, then sure, he might have it. But if we do get a caution, right, then I think the guys who stayed out have a better opportunity. So we're still, even though we're coming down, you know, almost 35 to go, I still don't think there is a strategy that can get you the win quite yet.
As we still continue to pace here, caution continues to be extended. I don't know what's going on here.
We're going green. I guess single file restarts here. Justin Johnson leads the way. A very strange, and that really stacked at the back of the field. I mean, we saw the 24 and the 22 get away quickly, but I mean, P3 Angel Hernandez he's already 2.5 seconds back.
I don't know what was going on, Christian. I saw they extended the yellow, and then all of a sudden we're going green.
I mean, that definitely hurts Will Austin right here. He's 5 seconds off the leaders already, and we've not even completed 2 laps.
What an unbelievable turn of events. I mean, this race just keeps on getting crazier and crazier and crazier.
I would have understood, you know, going 1 to green. I mean, single file if we were continuing to have like the restart wrecks, but you know, these last couple of cautions were just like racing incidents, right? If we continue to, you know, have an issue with the restarts and stuff, then yeah, I could see maybe going single file, but going single file there, it just was very odd, right? I mean, we went double file, then back to single file, and then we went green. But I don't know if Thomas made a mistake on the outside wall, but he's already given up almost 2 seconds to the 22 of Johnson. Granted, remember, the 22 has fresher tires, right? And he has a clean air, right? I don't know if that might have something to do, but I don't think it would be that drastic.
Will Austin has to be sick right now. I don't know if he knew it was going to be a single file restart, but I bet you if he knew it was going to be single file restarts, he would not have pitted. There's no way you would risk starting that far back off the leaders just for a 10-lap tire difference.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably see the steam out of his ears right now because, I mean, he's 5 seconds back and has not made any time up on the 22. No time up, right?
And with as fast as Justin's been racing, you know, you're not going to catch him. You're not going to, you know, gain 5 seconds on him with how good he's been doing. There's no way.
I mean, it's very tragic, right? I mean, he's with 30 to go, right? 5 seconds back. You'd have to. I mean, you do the math. I'm not going to do the math because I'm not smart enough to do the math. But he's got to gain quite a bit of time just per lap, right? Just to even get even with this 22, right? And that's not even counting, you know, tire wear from having to push harder to get to the 22. But Justin will continue to lead and pull away from the rest of the field here. I mean, I feel like the gap is kind of equalized due to the 24 of Flynn. It's stabilized around that 2.5 second-ish mark, right? But Angel Hernandez back here with a damaged car, with the single file restart, holds on to that P3 position. I mean, maybe Angel knew that we were going single file, and that's why he stayed out, right? He knew that he'd have a better chance to keep the track position with the single file start. I mean, you see all that damage to the 54, and, you know, holding strong right now in that number 54. Bill Gibbs Racing, you know, Monster Energy Camry, doing a good job. And then obviously a battle back here. It's the 77 and the 3. Will Austin and Craig Rottenschlager, you know, trying to battle for this P4 position, and then the lap car, Mark Gonzalez. Looks like he still got it looks like that car might be a little racy, but currently a lap down. The first car lap down back there in P10.
Back to Angel Hernandez, Christian. He's running competitive lap time still. I honestly think if we had double file restarts and, you know, him restarting P3 behind the leader, I think, you know, his presence, you know, could have done something. I think, you know, we get a yellow. I think he could be, you know, pretty competitive.
I mean, that's unbelievable to see how much damage that car has, and to see him still running, you know, semi-competitive lap times. Like last time for him, he ran a 5.1 to Johnson's 5.0, right? So he's right there with the leader. The issue is he's not faster than Justin right now. And you have to think, right? I mean, he does have the freshest tires in the field, so that might be also masking some of this damage that he might have. We'll have to see how this pace continues for this last 25 laps.
If I was Justin Johnson right now, I would be backing down my pace just a little bit to conserve my tires, because if you get a yellow, I don't think you'd pit, or you'd want to pit and give up track position. Considering the single file restarts, you know, you got to make sure you have, you know, tires on the car still. And I mean, there's still 24 laps to go, coming to 23 to go. That's still a lot of time for, you know, fall off.
Yeah, I would say definitely pack off the pace enough to where you keep the rhythm, right? Do not get out of sync. Do not get out of rhythm trying to focus on tire management and pace management. Just get into a rhythm. You don't have to push right now if you're the 22, right? Just keep, you know, doing what you're doing You still don't have to, you know, push the car as hard as you. Is he? It looks like he still is, right? He's now continuing that, you know, even put a gap on the 24 with Flynn, because now that's eclipsed the 2.5 second mark here. 22 to go. And we talked about it earlier in the show, you know, this need to, you know, just survive here. And we look at it now, only 9 cars on the lead lap. Mark Gonzalez gonna be it's currently the first car lap down. He's still gonna get a top 10 somehow, a lap down here with all that damage on that 2 machine.
I don't think he cares about a top 10. He had one of the fastest cars of the race, and you know, had it basically. I wouldn't say taken from him, but you know, the top 10 doesn't mean anything to him. He had the best car tonight and is gonna walk away with no trophy.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, everybody's been in that position, right, where you put in the time, you put in the preparation, or you just unloaded really fast, and the confidence is there. And you saw the confidence in that too early in this race. You know, getting out, pulling out to what, a 2-3 second gap on equal tires. It's not like what the 22 is doing with a little bit fresher tires with the weird jumbled restart. The 2 drove up, took the lead, and drove away, right? And you know, coming home with not a trophy is honestly, you know, knowing Mark is probably going to be, you know, a disappointing finish. And for some people, you know, a top 10 is a good run, but for Mark, especially with that car tonight, definitely going to be studying film and looking back and see what he could have done differently tonight. Oh man, this 22 still slowly pulling away. Actually, Thomas is backing up to the 54 here. The 54 is backing up to the 77 in this 3. So, we're looking at it. I mean, almost 4 cars under a blanket here for battling for this P2 position.
I wonder if Thomas's tires are starting to fade again, like that longer run that we saw in the middle of the race. And I wonder if Angel's damage is starting to catch up to him, and that's just slowly dragging the 77 into the picture along with the 3 car. I mean, we've got a 4-car race for P2 here.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. At the 24, just does not have the long run pace. And on top of that, he's got the oldest tires here out of this bunch, right? And obviously Angel, he has the freshest tires, but he's got a lot of damage on that Camry versus these 2 behind, right? I think they pitted around the same. Yeah, they both pitted on lap 160 and have fresh cars. They don't have any damage. They have fresher tires compared to the 24, and you know what? Less damage compared to the 54, right? So I'm interested to see how patient 77 and the 3 are going to be around these 2 guys who are definitely backed up to these 2.
You can't be patient. You got 14 to go now. I mean, you have to go. You don't have time. The leader's slowly pulling away, and they have started to run him down, cut him down a little bit, but no, laps are ticking away. You gotta go. Oh,
Angel! That was a huge block by the 77. Angel had a little bit of a crossover. Greg did not want to be a part of that. Shut the door on the 54. That was almost really bad for Craig right there. I mean, that's what you got to do at the end of these races. I mean, that 77 is quicker, and no doubt about it right now. And the
somebody
3.
who's quicker is the 3. Oh,
wow! A little bump to the back of the 77 that puts him up in an outside wall. And we know Will knows that he's got a fast car, and he's starting to show the frustration that he's not racing for this win tonight. After coming down, making the strategy to come down and take those tires. I think at the very least, what Will wants is this interview at the end of the race here, but going to try to make a move here on the 77 down here in the 3 and 4. No, backs out of it.
I think Will could see the 24 struggling ahead of him, and he could see P2.
And that's the most I think any of these guys can get. You know, Justin has done a phenomenal job getting out to a lead and at the very least maintaining this gap here around this 3 second mark. Now here comes the 77 underneath the 24 Thomas Flynn. Thomas, remember, starting to fade back with those older tires. 77 is going to get clear now, side by side with the 3 of Will Austin for that P3 position. Will Austin will clear here into turn 1 and 2. Now it's the battle for the P2 position. Can the 3 get around the 77? Can the 77 kind of defend enough to keep this 3 behind him for 10 more laps here from Rockingham? You know, and the funny thing is, you know, throughout this whole race, we were talking about how the 22 needed to catch up to Thomas. Thomas seemed like he had, you know, the jump on the 22, right? Now look at the tables that turn, right? Now Thomas starting to fall through the field here. And Justin is the one who has the car to beat here later in this race. Obviously, needs to get around this circuit 8 more times without yellow coming out. And if a yellow comes out, it will change everything. I'm not trying to, you know, bring one out. Let's not manifest that, but how the tables have turned for that whole regular season battle.
Absolutely, and right now for the 24, it's damage limitation. Don't make any more mistakes. You know, just bring it to the checkered flag. You got more stage points than him. You got more stage points compared to your championship rival. You're gonna lose out on like race points, but I mean, you're still gonna give yourself a shot for the regular season title at Bristol in 2 weeks.
I definitely agree. I mean, he's got what, like almost 4-second gap back to the 43. Just ride it out here. You got 6 more laps. Don't make a mistake. Just hit your marks. And, you know, obviously it sucks that, you know, the race didn't go in your favor, but the top 5 is still a top 5, right? You gotta move on and continue to go there. Oh, the 77 to the outside wall. That will allow the 3 to potentially start to build a run here. We've seen this 3 make the pass here, run in this middle lane here, get a good run off, and then try to make him pass here in the 3 and 4. We also see the 77. He's protecting that middle lane. I think he knows. Oh, the 3 bumping to the back of the 77.
Will is playing extremely nice right now.
No, he is. I think, you know, once again, these guys are battling. These guys are, you know, full-time points, right? And he's trying to be cordial, right? Because you don't want this one race to, you know, catch up to you later in the season, and bite you in a bad way, right? But, you know, 3 to go here. This is the 77 is almost close to the 3
Thomas Flynn is on pit road. I think he blew a tire.
Oh,
this
man.
is unbelievable. Oh my goodness. Or is he out of fuel? I mean, I don't know why you would pit with coming to 3 to go.
I mean, he's running in first here, so I'm going to say no on the fuel. But that is unbelievable. But we have to go back onto the action on the track. Is 22 going in 3 and 4. Because he'll take the white flag here. And you talk about a birthday present here, or whatever, any type of, this win hand gifted that 22, and on top of that, the 24, I mean, outside the top 10 now. But going through the backstretch for the final time, through 3 and 4, we're gonna have to navigate around these lap cars. Probably just gonna sit back and do it, but go ahead and give it to him. The 22, Justin Johnson, will come out here and dominate here in this last run and get his first win of the season here at Rockingham. Will Austin gets around the 77. I think we need we'll probably have to take a look at that. See if that was let's take a look and see at this pass. Did he was this a legit pass here? I just want to see, because the 3 was you know, the hands are starting to get shown here. Looks like no, the 3 just gets underneath the 77. He'll make that pass on Craig. So good clean pass, and Will Austin, obviously, you know, if we didn't go win the green there, I think he had, you know, a chance to go out there and win. But a good P2 finish still. I mean, obviously, I think he wants to come home with the trophy, but, you know, getting that one spot there on the last lap definitely helps. See Justin playing in the grass here. Getting back here in the victory lane here. Right on the front stretch here at Rockingham Speedway. Doing a little mini burnout here. Congratulations to Justin and the whole 23 team. His first win of the season. He's had one coming for a while. Just has not been able to put the finishes together. But today, had a top 5 car all race long. He'll get it done here from Rockingham. But we are going to take a quick commercial break here on HVTV, and we'll get ready to start your post-race show. Talk to your top 3 finishers here from Rockingham, and go through unofficial results and wrap up the broadcast here from Rockingham Speedway here on this Saturday night. And yeah, we'll be right back on the other side of this commercial break.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We welcome you back here to the post-race show for the iSNF Cup Series Season 11, Race 11 from Rockingham Speedway for the Tar Heel 200. But, yeah, what a race, what a finish. We'll go ahead and talk to your top 3 finishers. Go ahead and Justin Johnson up here in HPTV booth. Hey, Justin, it's Christian up here. Christian and Demos up here in the HPTV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I hear you guys.
Well, first of all, congratulations on I believe your first win of the season here in season 11 here at Rockingham, and obviously a lot of chaotic stuff that happened tonight here from the Rock, and it looked like at the end of the race there, it came down just tire strategy, fuel strategy there. Walk us through your race. Walk us through what got you up here in the victory lane tonight.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely wild race, starting up in second place and getting wrecked before we even crossed the start finish line. I thought it was gonna be a longer one. So, but drove through the field the first time, and then the last restart of stage 2, got a passing the leader penalty, had to go a lap down, go all the way to the back, but pulled through, drove all the way back up to the front of the field, and the strategy worked out for me in victory lane finally. First win in the iSNF Cup Series.
Yeah, I mean, about time, right? I mean, obviously I know the team a little bit more than most broadcasters would, but obviously you've been so close so many times, and either it's like a teammate win or you're you're doing something for the team, right? And I'm so super happy for you to finally get up here in the victory lane and get your first win here. And talking about you talked about the start of the races with the restarts. We saw some people starting first, and it caused issues. Obviously, you guys raced out here at Darlington a couple weeks ago. Was was it kind of that same nuance of like you just kind of had the baby on these restarts here?
Yeah, definitely had to baby it on the restarts here. You know, this track, even though it's repaved, it's still kind of bumpy. So I felt a few of the guys hit bumps and just lost the car. Even if you babied it, it was still a little loose. I noticed that on a few restarts myself, but just a matter of throttle control. And we unfortunately most of the field just couldn't handle it at the start of the race.
Obviously, talking to that, you got caught up in that first wreck. So looking forward and looking into the future, right? What was kind of the mindset? You're like, oh man, got wrecked out early. What was kind of the mindset you had to have for the rest of the race to get yourself back up to the field?
Just had to maximize the day. You know, the points standings. I was tied with Flynn going into this race, so just needed to outscore him, which we ended up doing. But you know, him winning stage two, and he was up there the front of stage one. He's hard to catch, but that was definitely the goal after that restart wreck, and the goal in general for this whole race.
And obviously, you look at this point standings, right? Tied with Thomas. Um, and going back, right? Thomas, we still don't really know what happened with the driver there, the 24 at the end there, but pitted. On those last couple laps. Going in, obviously we have this off week in the Easter. You should have a little bit of an edge of him on him going into Bristol for the regular season finale. Is there a game plan going into Bristol? Is there something you're looking forward to trying to do there to claim this regular season title?
Just got to come home in one piece. You know, no DNFs. I don't think I've DNF'd yet this season. Haven't had a race where I hadn't finished on the lead lap. So just keep it clean, keep it nice and neat. I mean, it's Bristol. Anything can happen and a lot of chaos. So just the cleaner my car is, the better chance I have.
I definitely agree. Bristol's it's definitely interesting choice for a regular season finale with how chaotic that can turn to be. But we look forward into that. Obviously, off week for Easter. So first of all, we wish everybody here, and including yourself, a safe Easter, and with hopefully everybody can spend time with friends and family. But congratulations on your win tonight, Justin. Your first win here in the iSNF Cup Series. Before we let you go, anybody you want to shout out, thank, or appreciate here for your first win at Rockingham?
I'm gonna go ahead and shout out Mark. You know, Mark, he's always a good vibe in the voice call with me during the race, so he was great. Sartaj as well, he was in there. Unfortunately, got wrecked out on one of those restart wrecks. So definitely shout out those two, and shout out if anybody's watching, shout out all the lap cars that very safely got out of my way. I was sweating the last couple of laps, but thank you for getting out the way and being neat. And also shout out, I maybe she's watching Rhea. Shout out Rhea. She's not here. Kind of hurting my feelings. Didn't see the first win, but shout out Rhea. You know, and Cody too. Cody's I think they're both at Martinsville, but shout out both of them if they're watching.
Yeah, Rhea at Martinsville. I think Cody couldn't make it to the race, but he was in the chat cheering on you Penske drivers throughout the race. So yeah, definitely cool to see. You up here to Victor Lane for the first time. Like I said, race with you in the past team, and it's definitely special up here to finally get to talk to you up here in the first position.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No Dylan Bass in the to to take the spotlight this time.
Oh no, I definitely agree, and I feel you there. But once again, Justin, congratulations on your win tonight, and obviously off week for Easter, but hopefully we can talk to you up here in that podium spot here for the regular season finale at Bristol.
Oh, hopefully. Thank you for having me.
Have a good rest of the night.
You too.
All right, we have Justin Johnson done with that interview. I think still has Will Austin up here in pit road ready on for his interview. Hey Will, it's Christian and Daniel Mostello up here in the HPTV booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Well, obviously P2 for you tonight, and obviously you had a strong car tonight and showed pace to go up there and race for the win. But something I want to kind of brief with you. Obviously, you came down and made that call to take tires, and then we ended up going single file. I don't. Was that something that was planned or was told ahead of time, or was that something just kind of out of the blue for everybody on the track there?
Yeah, I mean, going into the final restart there, I knew we were just coming off of a long green flag run, so I figured if it went green again, I'd have the upper hand. But then we came out and we're single file, so that kind of threw it out the window. But I had to stick with my plan. But yeah, both RCR cars went down, took 4.
It was definitely interesting to at least see you not only through that last run, but through the whole race run up towards the front. Obviously, finally getting around the 77 there at the end. But walk us through the track. Obviously, we saw um, a lot of trouble out of turn 2. Walk us through, the difficulty of the track, and especially out of there at turn 2, we saw a lot of people knocking the wall down throughout the whole race tonight.
Yeah, old tires, it got wicked tight. On fresh tires, you could kind of hammer down around the whole track, but once you got into dirty air, lap traffic, it was tight coming around too. So you really had to watch your exit speed and exit angle, and yeah, I mean, all in all, it was a fun race. It was a good track. Wasn't too bad, I guess.
Obviously, coming here to New Rockingham and with the new package and everything else, we're definitely excited up here to see how it raced, right? Obviously, with the new short track package and everything else, was there a big difference? Obviously, if you even did race, the new Rockingham with the old package, was there a big difference that you maybe saw coming into this week?
Personally, I've only ran the old Rockingham, and I know hitting the bumps coming out of 2 would spin you right around if you weren't careful. So this is the first time on the new pave, especially with the new package and everything. So I really can't attest for anything previously, but I do know it's fun to race. It's tight racing.
We definitely saw that vice the tight close racing throughout the whole field tonight, and obviously you come home with P2 narrowly getting around Greg there in those last couple laps. Obviously we knew you had the freshest tires. What was it like battling that 77 to eke him out for that P2 position?
Oh, it was fun. I even had a little chat with him there after the race, telling him how fun it was, and yeah, I mean, I wish we wouldn't have restarted single file at the end. I think I would have had something for Justin, but it is what it is.
It's just one of those things that sometimes you can't control, and obviously you made the strategy. You had to stick with it, like you said, but still coming home with a P2 finish, a really good point day for you. I believe you got some stage points as well in stage 1 and 2. So just an overall good day for you. But before I let you go, Will, anybody you want to shout out, thank for this finish tonight here from Rockingham?
Yeah, the whole RCR crew and Gabe for sitting in there in the chat with me and keeping me hyped up through the race, and just the whole broadcast crew. Keep up the good work, guys.
We definitely appreciate the kind words up here in the booth, and yeah, gonna try our best to keep on trucking. But obviously, an off week for Weister. Going into Bristol, obviously regular season finale. Is there a plan to for Bristol, or is it just gonna kind of be the same as you came in tonight? Obviously, Bristol can kind of be a chaotic racetrack time to time in the sim.
Yeah, track position, keep it clean, and patience. It's pretty much what I'm working with going into Bristol.
Sounds like a good plan for you and that whole 3 team. But congratulations to you, Will, on this P2 finish, and obviously happy Easter for you and your whole family. And hopefully we can talk to you on the other side of that break here in potentially Victory Lane there at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah, hopefully.
Have a good rest of the night.
You too.
Well, Austin will come home P2, and I think it's time to talk to you. P3 finisher tonight, Craig Longslaughter, as he finally gets past, well, I won't say finally, but gets past there late in the race there, but still comes home with podium position. Let's go ahead and talk to the 77 here in post-race show. Hey, Craig, it's Daniel and Christian up here in the HPTV booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Well, a P3 finish for you tonight. Really strong run for you in this whole 77 team. It looked like you were a top 5, top 3 car all night. Bush got caught up in a couple of incidents, but we're able to drive your way up and inside of a podium. Obviously, a really good battle between you and the 3 of Will Austin, but we're able to hold on to this P3 finish. Walk us through your race and walk us through what got you here to this podium position.
Well, I mean, a few times they actually put it on pole. Of course, I'm the guinea pig for a track that doesn't like second gear restarts or something. And in fact, I was debating first or second. I tried first, and it got to second, but it was in second that it went around. So that put me back. I just played catch up the entire darn race. Then I finally got up there, and then the one decided to stay out on old tires. I went up high. I just wasn't used to running up there, and then went around again, and then and I was just playing catch up. I came from way back at one point and got within 3 seconds of the 22. So I felt like I had, as good, if not the best long run pace of anyone tonight. But at the end, I just had old tires. I think the 3 had better tires than me, and then he eventually got around me. But I was fighting hard to hold my position.
Obviously, we saw the close battling between you and the 3, and obviously, late in that run, you caught the 24, and you caught the 54 there as the 3 was catching you. What was kind of the mindset? What was kind of what was going through your head as you were trying to pass some of these slower cars, but also keep the faster car in the 3 behind you?
Well, I mean, that last run, I was, pretty frustrated because all those lap cars started ahead of us because of like sort of iRacing glitch. Otherwise, I think I would have had a good shot to win it. But I was trying to, see if I had a shot to run down the 22. I was making good progress, and then just had to battle with the 54 and the 24, and that held me up. And then it was just, okay, I'm on older tires and probably the 3, and just, I don't know, just trying to hold them off. But I don't know, the 22 was just gone at that point, so nothing I could do about it. But I'm happy with the top 3.
Obviously, a top 3 good finish for you in this full 77 team. Obviously, not going to be really in contention for battling for the regular season championship. That'll be between the 22 and the 24. But obviously, we have this break for Easter. But going into Bristol, obviously, I feel like you're just seeing a solid run going into Bristol. The clinch yourself into the playoffs. But looking into the playoffs, is there any tracks you have circled on your calendar to potentially give you that one up to continue to try to race for a championship for this season?
I don't know. I believe it's a chase, so it'll be more about scoring points than it will be about necessarily advancing or anything. But I don't know. Bristol, probably one of my better tracks. A couple seasons ago, I should have had a win there. Got beat by strategy. So I'm looking forward to that race. But once I get to the playoffs, it'll just be a calculation of try to score as much points as possible.
Obviously, a really good plan for you in this full 77 team. But looking back on tonight at Rockingham, a P3 finish. I believe you got some stage points, maybe. But still, regardless, a good finish for you tonight in this whole 77 team. Before we let you go, though, anybody you want to thank, shout out, appreciate for this solid run here from the Rock?
Just everybody shows up, Maria, the admins, whatever. So just the whole community. So yeah.
We definitely appreciate your time up here in the booth, and once again, congratulations on this P3 finish. Hopefully, we can talk to you a couple spots higher back up there at Bristol.
Yeah, hopefully.
You have a good rest of the night,
Thanks.
Greg.
See ya.
Greg will end up finishing P3 here for tonight from Rockingham, and I guess it's time to take a look at your unofficial race results here from Rockingham, and obviously we talked to your top 3 finishers tonight. And Justin Johnson, Will Austin, and Craig Lineschlein. But Angel Hernandez holds on to a P4. Really good finish for him despite all that damage he had. Gabe Ledger comes home with the top 5. Really good run for him. Mark Roberg, Jason Steptoe, and Terrence Preston round out the drivers who finished on the lead lap. Only, was it 8 drivers who finished on the lead lap tonight. So that's indicative of, what we were talking about in the pre-race where you just needed to survive, get to the end there. And Mark Gonzalez will actually move up the P9 after the troubles from the 24. So, a spot is a spot there. Blake Hollett will fit around out your top 10 there in that 45. And Thomas Flynn, man, had a top 3 running, and obviously we don't really know what happened, and we assume it was a tire issue or something. But had to come down pit road late there to make a stop there. He'll come home P11. and really hurt him in the points a lot there. Mike Iskadar comes home P12, Bob Wyckoff P13, Shane Johnson in the 20, P14, a quiet night for him, but a top 15 finish for him. David Anderson in a 97 will come home P15th, Eric Jorgensen 16th, Scott Trusting, Chris Bishop running out your top 18. And at the rest of the field tonight, coming home 19th, Steven Sear, we saw him have a lot of issues. Got caught up in a wreck with his teammate there in the 9, which we'll look at in a couple seconds there. But yeah, tough night for Steven. Emily Erase, P20 after giving herself full damage after catching outside wobble in the night early. Kevin Page in the 7 will come home P21, and Jimmy Johnson, P22. Joey Berge, Sam Sartaj, man. James Bowles, Tom Blazier, Brian Treadwell, and Larry Fairman will round out the field for tonight's race. And yeah, definitely a chaotic one. And Demos, you know, obviously, I think we expected caution, we expected calamity, but definitely not like we saw tonight.
Absolutely. I think the restarts really caught everyone off guard, and we were at a point in the race where it felt like it was just never going to end. But once everyone kind of figured it out, I mean, we were clean the rest of the race in terms of restarts, and we were able to see, you know, who the best drivers were, and see who, you know, could come out on top.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see, you know, at the end there when I don't know, maybe it was just a lack of drivers because obviously a lot of drivers started to fall out as the mistakes started to compile and the cars started to get right there. But it was cool to see, you know, the it was cool that we at least got a long green flag run and we had the green flag pit stops that kind of, you know, put people in their sorting order. Obviously, that caution, you know, in between the pit cycle kind of, you know, mix some things up. But at the end of the day, there we had a little bit of everything. We had, you know, the calamity, we had the cautions, we also had, you know, those long green flag runs, and I feel like it's just everything that we expected to happen here happened tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, this race had just about everything that you could ask for. I mean, it's honestly one of the more wild races that I've been able to watch, let alone commentate. So much happened, and you just didn't know what was going to happen next. But in the end, Justin Johnson was able to come out with the win, first career win. You know, now that he's over that hump, I can't wait to see if, you know, he starts to click off more wins. As you know, the first, you know, think of Sheldon Creed in real life. You know, he finally got over that hump, and you know, he's running good all of a sudden. You know, obviously Justin's like a fierce competitor in here, obviously, but once you get over that hump, you can unleash something, and I think it's going to be the first of many, and at right time, right before the playoffs too.
No, I definitely agree. You know, we talked about, you know, just having the good finishes here. It's a good morale for any driver, and obviously for Justin, finally getting that first one under his belt. He's been so close so many times, right? He just wasn't able to get it done, but you know, he finally for him that in that whole 22 team get it, you know, that win under his belt, you know, and it's funny because you know the one race that Rhea can't be here is the one that at 22 finally, you know, gets to put himself in the victory lane. But yeah, I definitely agree that you know Justin indicative to come, perfect timing. You know, this is the perfect time start to, you know, get momentum into, you know, the chase, right? Obviously, one more race to go for Bristol, and you know Justin will come out on top on points, but still can't, you know, be a slouch going into Bristol. You know, that 24 isn't going to be that far behind because remember, Justin, you know, had the better finish, but Thomas had the better stage points throughout the whole race there. So it's still going to be close. I feel like going into Bristol.
Absolutely, we're going to be in for an epic showdown 2 weeks from now.
I definitely agree. Going into Bristol though, obviously, PSA. Obviously, next week is Easter weekend, so we will not be broadcasting iSNF as they're going to have their first off week, I believe, of the season for Easter Sunday. So, for everybody over here in the HVTV booth, we appreciate everybody for coming out, and happy Easter to everybody coming up this next weekend. And we hope that everybody can enjoy, you know, some camaraderie, whether it is it with family or friends or even a mix of both, right? We just wish everybody a happy Easter and everybody back to schedule after that next weekend. But if you guys are looking for any broadcasting help, whether you want us to come up here and broadcast, it doesn't even have to be a league race. It can be, fun hosted. We're actually doing that later tonight, and we'll talk about that after we wrap up this part of the show. But if you're looking for us to do a league race or maybe even some endurance races, obviously the 12 hours of Sebring going on right now. If the pricing's right, we have the talent that can make it happen. We'd be more than happy to put together some type of endurance team to broadcast, whether it is a split or maybe it is your split, right? That'd be really cool. But on top of that, if you're looking for any of that, also if you're looking, potentially join the HVTV family, whether it's coming up here in the booth like myself and Daniel, whether it's running the cameras in the background and making the production look as good as we can, right? We do pay quite a bit of money for the production side of things, just because the producers are the unsung heroes on any broadcast, right? And I don't think they get enough love, and we try our best to give love to those people. But also, if you're an up and coming graphic designer, who wants to work in the industry down the line, whether it is for a network like Fox or NBC Prime, or whether it is for something like Flow Racing or for NASCAR directly, right? We try to give a platform for these young graphic designers to come and work in a network type of situation where they can get the flow of what they might be doing in real life. So if you are a young up and coming graphic designer and are wanting to get a taste of what it's like to work or kind of work with a network, make sure to get a hold of us. You can get a hold of us either at HVTV Broadcasting at AOL.com via email, and we'll try to get to you as quickly as you can. But I think we do have the Discord link down in the description down below. In there. If not, you can go back and watch a prior broadcast and find the Discord link in one of our other broadcasts and join the HVTV family that way. And honestly, that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me if you're looking for any help here on the network, whether it is from us personally or if you wanting potentially jump on board and help out the network. But from everybody over here on the for High Velocity TV, myself and Daniel Mosteller up here in the HVTV booth, we'll say goodnight here from Rockingham Speedway as we round out week 11 here for the iSNF Cup Series, as we once again congratulate Justin Johnson here on his first win in the season. But we're going to call it a night here from Rockingham Speedway. If you guys are looking for some more racing later tonight here at, I believe it's 9 Eastern, we'll be doing some hosted lobbies here on the channel. HVTV After Dark. And we'll be doing, I believe it's Trucks Michigan, Next Gen at Old Daytona, and Next Gen at, I believe, Lanier Dirt or Bristol Dirt. It's going to be some type of dirt track. We'll have to see, depending on what the community wants. But if you guys are looking for some more racing, if you guys are just looking for some more broadcasts, look forward in a couple hours for HVTV After Dark. And we'll see you guys on the flip side for that. But if you guys can't make for that, we hope everybody has a great rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the Cup race tomorrow as the NASCAR Cup Series goes to Martinsville Speedway to continue their season push to see and maybe tackle that number 45 machine as Tyler Reddick is continuing to dominate that series there with his 4 wins on the season. But once again, we appreciate everybody for coming out and watching the broadcast. We appreciate everybody for all the camaraderie. See you guys soon. Hope everybody has a great rest of the night, and see you guys later.